Hello, hello. Good morning where I am. Good evening where Matt is. But wherever you are, thank you for joining us for our second week in a row for our special war report on Sunday mornings here on the East Coast, with the change to Dynamite being on Fridays. And then we got a couple Saturdays in the mix. Sometimes you got to pivot and you got to make some plays. And Matt and I thought doing it this way the last couple weeks was the proper way to do so. Thank you for joining. Matt, how was the week? Before we dive into these shows, I know we're going to touch on Double or Nothing to start, not a deep dive or anything like that, but we'll give a touch because we previewed it last week and it's been a week since, but we haven't really spoken together about what we thought of the show. So we'll dive into that little, small thing, and then we will do the deep dives into both of the shows this week. But first and foremost, how are we doing? How are things?
Good, man.
Good, say hello to people.
As good as can be when lockdown gets extended for another week and I go to work and I come home and I can't do anything else.
Yeah, it's a bummer, dude. Where I am in Massachusetts, things are looking up on the other side of things. Still not 100% safe. I think people are definitely pretending that it's 100% over when it's really not yet. But that lockdown life was long for us here. We had to do that for a while, and it was not fun. Not fun.
Yeah, you guys, I think, did it in one massive bulk.
It was. Yeah,
this is lockdown 4.
Really? Yeah.
In my state where I am, number 4. Some one only went for a week or two. Hopefully, this one ends come Thursday. Touch wood. Last year we were in lockdown for 119 days or something silly. Yeah, it's just hard, man. I'm still working, as you did, being retail and essential and all that sort of fun stuff. Having a 3-year-old during this time, it's not fun, but
you gotta make the best of it, right?
And it just drives me nuts, but I love it to death.
Of course.
But it is what it is. Just got to make
the best of it.
Pig shit, as they say. So we just push on, and it is what it is. I don't know. It's just hard. I'm not one that's ever suffered in the mental health sort of realm at 35 years old. But this one I'm struggling with a little bit, just in terms of motivation and stuff. So
and I definitely, I'm 36, so we're very similar of age, and I agree. The same as you. Never really had any issues or anything diving into that type, but this last year, the motivation part of it, I think, is true. When you know it's the same thing every day, you're like, okay, I'm going to get up, go to work, and then come home and do nothing. When it's that type of repetitiveness, it can wear on you. But luckily,
the thing I find the hardest is if I choose to do nothing, it's fine because that's my choice.
Yeah.
When the government come out and say at 35 you can't do anything, that's when I just go, well, this is kind of shit.
Yeah.
Especially since we're back to normal for a good couple of months. Crowds were back at sporting events.
It was almost like a tease, things are getting better, and no.
It's I put it in the terms of it's like taking your kid shopping, buying them a toy, saying here you can have it, letting them play with it for 10 minutes, and then say give it back. You don't get it to your birthday in November. It's shit, but it is what it is, and we're here to talk about happier things. So.
And I was going to say, luckily enough, we have wrestling to watch and talk about, which kind of makes things a little bit easier, right? So before we dive in, obviously, if you've watched any of our streams or just went to our site, this month we are donating money for a good cause, the Trevor Project. I will put the link up below. Here it is. It is donate.tiltify.com/@LoveWrestlingCA/Trevor Project. This is a great organization. You've heard us talking endlessly about it on all our streams this month. We're trying to raise our goal of $1,000 for the Trevor Project this month. I believe we are already over $400. So we've done a good bit so far, only being 6 days into June.
Public.
Yes. So, but this is a thing we are very passionate about. It's a thing we care about. It's an organization that is close to many of us here at Love Wrestling. So if you can, donate or share the link on all the numerous social media posts you've seen from all of us. It's something we care very passionately about. So if you want to donate, there's the link right there, or at least share it. Try to get more awareness so other people can donate. Whatever you want to do, the Trevor Project and us here at Love Wrestling would be very appreciative. So
just remember, $1,000 is the goal. We are not stopping.
No, we are not. We want to crush the goal.
Thank you.
We want to crush the goal. All right. So let's talk a little bit of Double or Nothing.
Yes.
It was a week ago, so there's been some time to digest things and stuff like that. We're not going to go match by match. We're going to do that with the 2 regular shows that we normally do. So I'll just ask you, from what you saw of Double or Nothing, what was the match that what was your favorite match of the night, or what were the 1 or 2 other things that really stuck out to you as the strongest parts of the show?
Mox and Kingston versus the Bucks.
Very good.
I don't know. For me, it just hit on all cylinders, and it wasn't your standard fair tag match. You could nitpick it and say, there was a lot of 2 guys in the ring at the same time type stuff. Yeah. But
the Rick Knox special, I call it. The Rick Knox special.
Yeah, a lot of that. But wrestling tells us or wants us to suspend our belief. So I do that when it comes to AEW tag matches, and I find that I enjoy them a little bit more than maybe most. But yeah, that match was just amazing. And imagine thinking Mox isn't one of the best wrestlers in the world.
I mean, are you saying this from a personal standpoint or from like a WWE?
No, just
letting this guy go type standpoint?
No, just in general. Like, he was the PWI, number 1,
yeah.
and people were like, "What? Why? Why?" This is why.
Yeah, he's
so good.
He's so good. You can tell he's having a blast, which I think
and that
you can tell he's
better.
Yes, and you can tell no matter where he goes. When he shows up in New Japan, when he showed up at GCW to confront Nick Gage, when he, Dynamite, all these things. When you see it, you can tell immediately that he's like, this is what wrestling is to me. Like, he cares so much, and you could tell. That last year or so with Dean Ambrose, like in WWE, you could tell, like, with him on screen, like, he was still being great because he's great at what he does. But you could tell that he was like, he
checked out.
Yeah, this is not what I thought this would be, And
what the scary part is, though? The guy is that good that the whole toxic mask and stuff that he was wearing at the end of his WWE run, if he legitimately thought or cared, he could make that work. He's that type of guy. Mm-hmm. It's just that he mentally had checked out of that place. It didn't matter what they gave him.
Yeah.
But this is him. Like, I could imagine if you walked into the front door of his house and he was sitting on the couch, this would be him.
Yeah.
Like, what he gives you in his matches now is him.
Yeah.
It's not some gimmick. It's just him.
And yeah, it's refreshing because I was always, when it came to the Shield guys, Moxley, Ambrose, whatever you want to call him, he was the one that I was the most excited about because he's the one that I heard the most about. Like, I heard about his promos in FCW and on the indies, and he could talk and he had a little bit of like old school Roddy Piper in him, and like you heard all these things. And when they first came up and the Shield first came up, he was the main talker before they let Rollins kind of talk a lot. They all chatted, Roman was the silent, cool ass kicker, but Ambrose was the main vocal piece for them. And like, they would let him kind of do some stuff, but not. And it was like, you heard all these things and it was like, all right, like, he obviously was a main eventer, world champion. Like, they made him a big deal, but it almost always felt like there was a piece missing. Yeah. And then when you see him since he's been in AEW and doing all these other things, that piece is in the puzzle now. Like, that piece is there. And yeah, he just has the freedom to do what he wants. And you can tell he's just checking all the boxes and all cylinders. Like, that guy is a top guy in the world, no matter what he does. And it's incredible. It's incredible how good he is. I also did like how Eddie Kingston got that moment in front of the live crowd where they were chanting his name and like, he's been doing it for a long time. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I've watched his whole indie career. I have not. The majority, I've seen more Eddie Kingston since he's been on AEW than I had seen previous total.
Yeah.
But I knew who he was. I've seen a few of the promos like before AEW. Like I knew he was a guy that was well respected. I knew he was a guy that was on the indies for a long time, like a long time, 19 years or something like that. Refused to, he was never going to do that when he had opportunities to. And to see him on this level kind of doing it his way and like doing it with the company that lets him still be who he is and getting that moment was really, really nice to see too.
It's refreshing to see a big company allowing a talent like that do it his way.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of been missing for the longest time. WCW probably went too far that way.
Yeah.
Whereas I think AEW currently has a good balance. Talent are allowed to do things their way, but if they go too much their way, they're sort of brought back and they're told, just hold up a minute. Which I think at the moment, second or third year, whatever they are, it's a good balance. Whether they can maintain that balance remains to be seen, but so far so good. But on the flip side, imagine thinking the Bucks aren't the best tag team in the world.
Yeah. I mean, regardless of how you feel about their constant character trolling and doing the things they do, it's hard to think they're not. I mean, it was a Young Bucks match, but I mean, that was more, we had talked leading into it of like, oh, is this going to be a brawl or is this going to be a fight and blah, blah. And they definitely mixed it. You know what I mean? Like they got their shit in, as they say. They hit their Young Bucks big spots throughout, whatever. Yep. But it was more of a fight at times, brawling thing, and it was an awesome match. They did it. Yeah. They can perform and wrestle any way you want them to. If you don't like them, cool. Like everybody's entitled to their opinion. That's fine. But like, it's hard to deny how good people are when they constantly just show you time and time again. And we'll dive into it on Dynamite too, because guess what? They had a hell of a match on friggin' Dynamite too. So like, there's only so many times you can watch the Young Bucks have a fight. No, I'm not going to do stars. I'm not, but have a great, great match and then be like, nah, I don't get it. Or like, not even don't get it, but like, I don't think they're that good. Well, I mean, dude, every time they're on the show, they're having arguably the best match of the night. So like, you cannot like them, cool, but like, what are we talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Look, and don't get me wrong, teams like Jimmy and Jay are amazing. Teams like the Hardys, the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, all those teams from yesteryear, they were all amazing. But right now, for me, I was in my infancy of watching during the Hardys, Edge and Christian, Dudleys, all that sort of stuff. And WWF, for me, was it. That's all I watched back then. Like, and they were the shit. For me, watching the Bucks now, I think they are better than anyone I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of their Japan stuff. I've seen a lot of their Ring of Honor stuff, a lot of their current stuff. Just ridiculous. The amount of stuff that they can do. Yeah, okay, it's not traditional tag team stuff in a lot of the senses, but you just got to look past it. You really do.
Yeah, I mean, and I think if you do and you just kind of, if you can look past that stuff and you just watch the match, like, do they entertain you? And the answer is, for me at least, very much so. Every time they're on. So let's say some hellos to people in the chat. We have Red Queen Rhonda. She says, hey, at Love Wrestling, how are you guys? We are doing well. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Absolutely doing well.
Or wherever time it is where you are. But thank you for joining us and supporting and hopping on. Our buddy Throwback says, morning, guys. Hope you all stay cool in the weather where I'm at. Throwback is in Massachusetts with me. Starting yesterday for the next 4 days, we're talking mid to high 90s. So we're having a little bit mini of a heat wave. So
I'm in a hoodie, so it's
there you go. And then my buddy John, JPJ said shit. He. You're right, I did. Trying to break that swear jar budget. That's what we do here, is break budgets.
Hello, John Boy.
And Throwback, I do see your second comment. I'm going to save it until we get to that part in the show. And then Wrestling Plug Inc. also says, chug that water, boys. I might not chug because it's early, but I'm staying hydrated throughout all of my
I also
time.
run with the water these days.
There we go. So we are going to be a hydrated bunch here.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So Young Bucks, Kingston, and Mox. Anything else? One or two other things stick out to you? Good or bad? We can go either way.
I'm going to stick with the good. Sting looked amazing for 61.
I agree.
I don't agree with him getting the pin to win the match. I don't think he personally gains anything from it. But you can't deny that he looked amazing.
He looked great. Like he did not miss a beat.
We're not talking in a cinematic match that can be edited, cut, chopped to make him look good. He was live in person and he looked good.
Yeah. And I love the crowd pop when he took off the shirt and he had the old singlet on. The crowd was like, yeah, because Vince with his, you gotta leave a shirt on, you're not ripped or whatever, you're a little chubby, keep a shirt on type stuff. And he's like,
unless you look like Pac,
I'm friggin' Sting. Sting. Like,
unless you look like Pac in Vince's eyes, you should be shirt.
Yeah,
wearing a shirt.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. But he looked amazing. All four guys in that match looked good. I reckon it was a super fun match.
It was. That was a very fun match, and we touched on it in the preview. But like how I can't get over the fact of like how cool that must have been for those other three to just be like, man, we are on a pay-per-view match with Sting. Like, somebody that all three of them grew up idolized. We all did. Sting was one of the dudes. So.
Well, how did Darby feel?
So awesome.
He comes to the ring with him every week.
I know.
He must be thinking, what the freaking hell did I do right somewhere down the traps?
Yeah, absolutely bananas, man. So awesome.
And to think people thought Darby was just too small, 160, 170 pounds, whatever he is. He's never going to equate to anything. He is so over, man. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah. That he's going to equate to being an AEW World Heavyweight Champion at some point. That's what he's going to.
It's hard to believe that people like him, even Jungle Boy, that pop he got. People were booing Christian over Jungle Boy.
Mm-hmm. And I think
let that simmer for a minute.
Yeah, and we're going to dive into that during the Dynamite show because I do have a question about that. Because I think we'll dive into it when we get in there. I did want to touch on the Battle Royal, not for a long time, but I thought it was very cool seeing Lio Rush. Very happy about that. And I thought everyone going into it, when we were talking about it, I feel like the majority of people were like, well, it has to be Christian, right? He's the only one that is sticking out as anybody who would win.
Well, as we said, it was the great unknown was when was the title shot going to take place? Yeah, that was the great unknown, as we mentioned. But when we did mention it, we did say there was a handful of guys that could win this, and we did say Jungle Boy was one. Well, you did say Jungle Boy was one of them.
Yeah. And I'm glad they did it, and that was a huge pop. That was a huge pop. And Jungle Boy, he's only 23. Like, he's going to be around for a long time, and he's going to be a main eventer, moneymaker for them for a long time. And Christian is already cemented. His legacy is already cemented no matter what he does.
Perfect use of Christian Cage.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. And again, when we get into the show a little bit, we'll dive into it because I have an idea of where I think they might go with this. I don't know if they will, but I think it would be awesome. But I will save it for when we get in there. So we have couple more comments. Throwback says Sting is one of those characters that transcends generations, 80s, 90s, 2010s, and now you can say 20s too. You can say 20s.
Benjamin Bloody Button, man.
Yeah, he's been he's one of the guys when he debuted during last year. It was a big deal. And I remember sitting on my couch not expecting anything, and I was like, holy Sting. And it was like, wow. And it was like this, even though we hadn't seen him wrestle or on TV in years, it was one of those things where it's Sting. It's always going to be Sting, no matter what. And dude, it was just, and he looked, like you said, he looked great. He hit all his moves. He was running around. He looked really good. I assume it'll be something he wrestles few and far between like that, which is fine.
Make it a big deal.
Yeah, make it a big deal. Make it special because it was like seeing him get in there and actually move and wrestle and hit the Scorpion Death Drop and hit all these moves. And you were like, wow, this is Sting. This is awesome.
I think the thing that works the best is like having him with someone like Darby who's young as well. He can take a lot of the heat and Sting can get that hot tag. It works well.
Yeah.
And the place will blow every time. Like it did with Kingston. His hot tag was unbelievably good.
Yeah, people were going bananas. Absolutely bananas.
It's you know what? He could wrestle a few more years if you do, 1 or 2 matches a year, and that's how you do them. It's an incredible formula. It's a simple formula, but geez, it works.
Yeah. All right. And before we move on from Double or Nothing, a couple quick hits for you. I would like your opinion on Britt Baker finally winning the AEW Women's Championship, like most of us thought would happen. Yeah. And then last but not least, Cody and Ogogo. They don't have to be, quick hits if you want, but I just wanted to touch your opinions on both of those because I know when we were doing our preview last week, the thing we were looking forward to together the most was Britt Baker getting that moment and becoming the women's champion. So your opinion on that, and then if you want to touch on the Cody Ogogo thing, and then we can kind of dive into NXT and go with the week's shows.
I sent a tweet out after the Cody Ogogo match happened. I didn't watch it live, and when I saw Cody won, I said there's only one more booking mistake that they could make that it'd be worse than this. They didn't do it. Thankfully, Baker won. Mm-hmm. But there was no need for Cody to win. In my opinion, like people will say Ogogo's still green, and if that's the case, don't put him in the match. If he's in the match, he wins it. It's cut and dry for me. There's no gray area. It's black or white. But I don't know, and the match went 15 minutes too long, and that's saying something because the match was only 10 minutes.
Yeah, so. It felt like it should have been a quicker match. And again, I understand. It just comes off wrong to me. Like when it comes to the Cody Ogogo, like it's just one of those things where Ogogo needs to win that match, like you said. Like he needs to win that match. And again, we're going to dive into it. I think they tried to make up for it with the Dynamite. Like it's just not the same.
I've got much more to say when we get.
And we're going to dive into it. But like, it's Ogogo's. It's his second match technically, but it's really his main first like big time match, right? And I get it. It's against Cody. Cody's one of the top guys there. I get it.
But Cody doesn't gain anything from winning.
No, and I get they were doing the American versus the foreigner thing, which was stupid, but I get they were doing that, and they're in America, obviously. I get it. But like you just said, and we're going to dive into it a couple times, I think, on Dynamite. Like you just said, Cody can lose that match, and it does not matter to Cody at all. His stature isn't. There's no dent in the armor. There's nothing. Nothing matters. Cody comes out again on Dynamite, and he's still one of the top guys, still getting a huge pop. Doesn't matter. And
people will retort and say, oh, Cody beat Wardlow in his first match. Yeah, but Wardlow kicked his ass in that cage.
Yeah.
Right? And Wardlow is much more advanced in his career than Ogogo is. If you put Ogogo in this spot, he wins. Simple.
Yeah.
That's for me.
It was just a baffling decision.
Yeah. Baffling. So, at that point of the show, you've got this big king-size bed and they've already shat one half of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I was really bummed out about that. I was like, man, like what? And it's one of these things where I'm pro Cody. I've said it the whole time, even critiquing the promo, whatever. Like this whole story just didn't hit with me, but I'm pro Cody. I'm still pro Cody, but it just seems like they just had blinders on and they just didn't know. Yeah. It just seemed so simple to make this the right way. And they just did everything that was the wrong way to do it. That's how at least I viewed it. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, exactly the same. And for Britt, and again, I'm going to touch on this when we get through Dynamite as well, but the match for me was until the end. I didn't like it. Britt felt off. She'd have carried her, in my opinion. And that's saying a lot because Britt's really damn good.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? The ending stretch, Britt pulled her finger out, and the ending stretch was really good stuff. It's just a shame the sort of 10, 12 minutes that preceded it wasn't very good.
Yeah, it was kind of.
And again, that's just my opinion. A lot of people loved it and raved about it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But for me, it just fell flat. Her crowning moment, if it was me, I don't know, maybe she tried too hard. I don't know.
Yeah.
But for me, it just fell flat.
And that's fair. I thought the match was solid. I didn't think it was anything special or something that we would remember further. You're going to remember her winning the title more than you're going to remember the match, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think once she, like you said, the ending sequence was very good. And then once she won the match, the pop was big. And that moment was still big.
Yeah.
But the match itself, when you look at it in totality, it was not one of Britt's better performances. Because we've also seen she's become this superstar, right? Over the last year, you want to call it whatever, how many months?
Yeah.
But she's also became a superstar in the ring too. So it's not just like, oh, all of a sudden she can cut a great promo and she's this badass, like awesome character. She was having banger after banger in the ring too. So it was everything kind of perfect storm, becoming this megastar.
Yeah.
Which she still is.
Her bar is no longer down here. Her bar is now up here. And you're going to have nights like last Sunday where she struggles to get to that bar. She might have only been down here, but it's still, a fair way off where she normally is. And unfortunately, when you're as good as she is, they're the critiques you're going to get. And she'll learn to live with that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just some Australian dude giving an opinion, and she probably doesn't give a shit. But she will be champion for a good chunk of time, and she will have some amazing matches with some amazing people. It's it'll be what it'll be.
Yeah, and we got a couple more before we move on to NXT. We got a couple more comments from Throwback. He says, "Give me Baker versus Purrazzo. If all promotions were open, give me Bianca also in the mix. That would be a barn burner." Oh yeah, I mean. Bianca is probably a stretch given WWE would never do that, or at least seems as long as Vince is there, there's no chance in hell. See what I did? For that to happen. But yeah, Baker and Purrazzo, please. We know they're good friends. We know Impact and AEW have the connect. All on board with that. That would be
good friends, better enemies.
Correct. And then
I think they both openly said they'd love to have it. So.
Oh, yeah, they have. And then Throwback also touches on the Cody thing. He says, do you think the Cody match was him not losing was an ego win? Him being, let's say, a tweener, like character-wise on screen, that he could say he did it for his own ego. Yeah, it does seem like, and again, when they do the pro-American thing, I think that still in wrestling terms is good guy, babyface. But it does seem like they could be going that route long term with Cody, like that he will eventually become a heel, because there is a little bit of backlash when it comes to this. But I mean, he came out on Dynamite and he still got a huge pop. I mean, he's still Cody, so we'll have to see where it goes. But like, I think Cody could use a tweaking character. So we'll kind of leave it at that, and then we'll dive into it more as we get into Dynamite here. But before we go into Dynamite, there was Tuesday night. There was NXT. We were chatting a little bit before we hopped on. I thought NXT, or you thought, and I agreed, NXT and both shows really, like, they weren't the Grand Slam home runs that we come to expect every week from these two shows. They were solid, good things and bad and things. But I feel like both shows were pretty average to good, as opposed to good to very good, like we're used to. But NXT did start off with what I thought was a pretty damn good match. They started off with the number one contender match for the NXT Championship. Winner would face Karrion Kross at NXT in your house, NXT TakeOver in your house, I'm sorry. And it was Kyle O'Reilly versus Johnny Gargano versus Pete Dunne. This was a longer match. They let them go to two separate commercial breaks through this match. As you would expect. Opened the show, which at first I was like, oh, wow, they're opening the show with this. But then as it went on, you're like, oh, I understand why they opened the show with this now. I will let you kind of lead the way, my friend. What were your opinions on this match? What were the things before we get to the end and the progression in the match itself? What'd you like? What didn't you like? How'd you feel about the match?
I thought this match was great. It was an awesome opener. And when you see a match like this open the show, you think, oh, how good. This is why we love NXT, matches like this. They're three of the best the brand has to offer. opening a show for a good 20, 25 minutes. It's amazing. How can you not love it? They all got equal amounts of offense in, which I thought was really, really good. And it kept me invested the whole time because I didn't know which way it was going to go, which we mentioned last week. But yeah, like the unpredictability of a match like this is what draws me in as a viewer. But yeah, it started to drag a touch, and then the ending came, which we'll talk about in a sec. But yeah, the match itself was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and I liked it. You know, there were a lot of parts in the match where all three of them were involved. And you see a lot of and again, WWE is usually good, whether it's tag teams or single. They book good triple threats and like multi-person matches. They're good at that.
Yes.
I thought this triple threat was a little different, which was good because all three guys were in the ring involved with all like each other as a unit, the three of them for a lot of the match. And usually you'll see a couple flurries of the three of them, and then it's kind of one-on-one, and then the next guy comes in, and then this
different
and that.
pairings. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, which is good too. The way they do it, they always time that well too. But this one, there was a lot of one-on-one throughout the whole thing, and I thought that was a nice little touch, especially with these three guys, three of the best in-ring workers in the world. And
some of the stuff Pete Dunne did, like the dual submissions and the dual finger work and limb work and stuff. It was just inventive. It was stuff that we don't see a lot of or not at all. So it was really good to see that sort of stuff. It just, again, it built and built, and I thought it built well, but then it happened.
And what it was Adam Cole, baby. He shows up, attacks O'Reilly and Dunn with a chair. Gargano kind of rushes at him, hits Gargano with the chair, hits a nasty-looking brainbuster to Pete Dunne on the apron floor or the floor there. Nasty-looking, awesome. William Regal shoots out there with security, pissed, just so pissed. And he's yelling at Cole, get out of the ring, get out of the ring. Adam Cole's really already done his damage, so he's like, yeah, all good, I'm out. But as he leaves, he hit one more super kick on Kyle O'Reilly real quick, which infuriates Regal. I think William Regal's just awesome, but he's at his best when he's just pissed. And it was perfect. He's yelling at Cole. They start to go. And so Adam Cole comes back. First time in a few months we've seen him destroying everybody, looking like the best guy on the roster, like NXT champion for 400 days, looking like Adam Cole. Yep. What were your opinions of Cole being kind of inserted back? And again, later, there's more stuff to it, but just kind of coming back in this fashion, taking out these three guys. Ruined a hell of a match. I would have liked to have seen a winner. But when we see where they went, we'll chat about it. But it's good to see Adam Cole back. I would have liked Adam Cole maybe to go to the main roster. Yeah. But again, I get nervous when it comes to main roster with NXT people, so I'm not upset to see him staying down in NXT because I know they'll treat him well for sure.
Yes.
But yeah, what were your opinions on Cole coming back and just kind of how he did it and what the ending of this match actually became?
Adam Cole being back is always and will always and was always going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
It's Adam Cole. It's everything he's done in NXT has been golden thus far. Throughout his 3 or 4 or 5 years, however long he's been there. He's won everything there is to win, and it's arguable whether he's got any business left on the brand. That's up for debate, but that's the debate for another day. It ruined a hell of a match, yes. Was I a bit flattened by the fact that we got a non-finish? Yes. But the alternative was, and we mentioned this last week, you have Kyle O'Reilly win. He's had title matches before. You don't really want to see him lose again. Gargano could have won, and it probably wouldn't have meant much, him losing the cross. And neither of us wanted Dunn to challenge yet. So,
no.
I wouldn't have minded it. If they're going to, and it looked early days like they were going to keep going with the Cole and O'Reilly story.
Yeah.
If that's the way they were going to go, they made a big deal out of this triple threat is no DQ. He could have come back, cost O'Reilly the match. Gargano won. Gargano moves on, and you find something to do with the other three. But yeah, this is the route they went. I'm not angry with the match we're going to get at TakeOver, not by any stretch, because it's going to be good.
Oh yeah.
And I said last week, I probably won't be invested in a cross TakeOver title match for a while because he's probably not going to lose. Mm-hmm. But when there's 4 other guys in there and he doesn't have to be pinned,
it's a little more intriguing, right?
My ears are pricked just a little.
Yeah. All right. So that's how that whole first segment ends. It was, like you said, always good to see Adam Cole back. He brings life back to the show a little bit, just because of how good he is, So they come back from commercial, and Adam Cole is leaving. And as he's leaving with Regal and security, you see Ember Moon come by, and she's in the ring, and she demands that Raquel Gonzalez come to the ring, and she's talking about what Raquel did to Shotzi last week, and not cool, and she's the man. She wants to fight Raquel. Raquel comes out. Regal also still involved, trying to prevent anything from happening, but Raquel gets in the ring. Ember hits a couple really good, stiff-looking, a kick and a forearm that just looked great from the camera, and just looked great. Yep. Knocks Raquel to the floor. Security kind of comes back down, pushes Raquel back towards the top of the ramp, and as they're doing that, Dakota Kai from behind attacks Ember Moon, takes her out with a couple of her kicks and things like that. And she goes to the top, and her and Raquel kind of fist bump, laughing with each other, and that's how that segment ends. We find out later in the night that next week on NXT, there will be Raquel and Dakota Kai. Ember and Dakota Kai will be fighting. And then at TakeOver, it will be Raquel and Ember Moon for the NXT Women's Championship. I think that's going to be a hell of a match. That's one of the matches I'm looking forward to the most on TakeOver. I think the match with Dakota Kai will be good next week. I don't know if Shotzi's banged up and she's taking time off. I don't know. But it seems like they're going to be doing the Ember solo route, at least for the next couple weeks. I love Ember Moon. I have no issue at all with anything that happened here. What about you? How'd you feel?
No, I enjoyed it. Ember being pissed that her friend got taken out, it's worked with Mox and Kingston. There's no reason why it can't work here. It's the same simple wrestling dynamic, and it's fine. I'm all for it. Ember is amazing. Yeah. Has she reached the heights she got to before she got injured? Maybe not, but she now has a platform where she can at least elevate and attempt to get to that level. Yeah. We saw Raquel versus Shirai at TakeOver. Bigger lady, shorter, smaller lady. Dynamic, works well. Ember is a very small lady. She's not very tall at all. So I believe that those two will churn out a really, really good match. As I said last week, I don't like Dakota being the feeder or the weak link in all this. It was Dakota that brought Raquel in. Mm-hmm. It's now a 180. Dakota's now the servant of the champion, really, and I really don't like it. I don't. There's unless Raquel comes and kicks Ember's face off next week, Dakota's not winning. So that's another loss for Dakota. Yep. It's just I don't know. Like every time you think the end game, they change where the goalposts are. I just don't know what to make of it, to be honest.
Yeah, and we touched on it last week. I think there's heading into it, everyone was like, "Oh, well, there'll be a team, and then Dakota will get jealous that Raquel has this success, and then that's how they'll break up." But I almost feel like it could go either way, which is good, I guess. More options, is never a bad thing. But it could go that route still. I could see it easily playing out that route as well. Or now, since Dakota has become this person that helps Raquel, but then never really wins the match, maybe now it goes the way that they want Raquel to be the big bad monster heel, and she goes, "You know what? You're not helping me. You're of no use of me. Every time I need you to soften someone up or do whatever, you lose and you just blow it. And I have to pick up the pieces by doing what I'm doing and dominating." So I agree with you that it's kind of like, I don't like Dakota in that role. She's better than that kind of thing. But it does set up for multiple angles they could go for the inevitable breakup, which I'm honestly 2 months later, I thought it might have already happened. But if they're going to keep rolling,
when the breakup happens, who knows? Does Dakota become this, baby face again that she was prior? And does she, rekindle her friendship with someone like a returning Tegan Knox? Who knows? It's entirely possible. But Raquel is, I think, best suited. Well, I originally thought she was best suited to be a monster heel, no doubt.
Yes, I agree.
But then she got organically over during WrestleMania week and weeks after, and I was like, okay, hang on, this actually works. But as we've stated before, WWE, that's NXT, Raw, SmackDown, they don't like anything happening organically.
Yeah.
So they put that fire out, and this is where they're going. It's good that we don't know the end game or the end path. It keeps you watching every week. But I don't know. I just don't want them to confuse it too much in the meantime.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next thing we got was a one-on-one bout between LA Knight and Jake Atlas. LA Knight cuts a promo on his way to the ring. I mean, yeah, they should have them do that every week because that guy can talk. Arguably, he might even be the best promo in NXT. You can make that argument. And it's just so natural for him to just have the mic and be able to talk. So why not have him do that every week as he's walking down to the ring? So he's basically chatting, saying that Ted DiBiase is going to be watching his match against Jake Atlas tonight. And he's going to show Ted why he should be the one that carries on the legacy. I thought they had a pretty good, it was a quicker match, but I thought it was, we have our buddy Josh Robinson. Josh Raid, hello. Hello, Josh. Thank you for that. Thank you for the raid. Good to see you, my friend, as always. I think Jake Atlas is pretty good. I've only, we haven't seen much of a character from him, obviously.
Yeah.
But every time he's been on the show and in ring and watching him, he's good. He's good in there.
He's only getting better.
Yeah, they had a really good match. Halfway through the match, DiBiase shows up. He's on the ramp kind of observing LA Knight. And then a little bit after that, we get Cameron Grimes. And he shows up and he's chatting with Ted, kind of telling him like, no, he's not worth it. You got to be talking to me, blah, blah, blah. This is distracting LA Knight throughout the match. And then finally, LA Knight he has Atlas up on the top rope and he's going for a move. And Grimes doesn't get involved, but he starts distracting LA Knight, which leads to Atlas hitting that beautiful cartwheel DDT that he has. I love that move. That is a great move. He hits that beautiful cartwheel DDT, and he gets the win over LA Knight. LA Knight is obviously distraught. Cameron Grimes is laughing his ass off. DiBiase shaking his head in disapproval as they leave, and LA Knight's in the ring yelling, "Ted, no!" Kind of how we've seen Cameron Grimes at times. When it comes to DiBiase.
Yeah.
I thought this prolonged, I know we'll talk to you. I know you're not fully invested in this actual story that's going on, but I thought it progressed it well. I thought it was good. I like seeing Jake Atlas get some wins, especially if he's someone that they view as like a future NXT, like going to be on the show, going to matter. What did you think of this whole segment? What do you think about, everything that happened here?
The match was good fun. Atlas winning was a shock, but once Grimes came out, it wasn't a full shock, I guess, if you want to put it that way. I still can't get a gauge on LA Knight. I've never been a huge fan of Eli Drake, LA Knight, whatever you want to call him. Can he talk? Yeah. Yeah, he can. He could talk underwater with a mouthful of marbles. It wouldn't matter to him. But I don't know where he fits in the pecking order of the brand. And this, I don't know, he doesn't seem the right fit for a $1 million feud, if you want. But then again, I didn't think Cameron Grimes would fit the $1 million feud either. So, they're going to go head to head at Takeover, and it's going to be a fine match.
Yeah.
I get a feeling that this might be where DiBiase introduces some sort of $1 million championship type of arrangement.
There have been rumors that they're bringing that
so I
back
think
too,
that might be their way of getting to that, especially if they're going to do the match at Takeover. But what I don't understand, and WWE do this a lot with all of their programming, LA Knight came out, did his promo, made his entrance. Then the match didn't start for like another 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know. That just seems to. Yeah, I don't know why they do things like that. They'll have an entrance, then they'll go to commercial, then they'll come back from commercial, and then they'll do a backstage interview or a recap, and you're like, well, this person is just standing in the ring. We saw them come out to the ring. Just come back to them in the ring and let's go.
Yeah.
It's very bizarre, that way of programming things like that. It is weird. Yeah, I don't know why they do that too. It is like, if you're showing me a person coming to the ring before you go to commercial, when you come back from commercial, I expect to see that person in the ring. I don't expect to see a recap from last week and then a promo that has nothing to do with the match we're about to. It's convoluted to me. It's like, all right, well, do you want me to focus on this, or should I be focusing on, where am I focusing?
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Yeah. Well, the match was fine. I thought it went maybe a little long, but yeah, it was fine. Atlas, I'm not sure how old he is, but I don't think he's very old.
No, I think he's younger, I think.
So his potential and his ceiling is real. He's going to be good. And they've obviously going to put a fair bit of work into him and a bit of stock into him, and that's cool. Yeah. But yeah, I just don't know whether I don't know. Again, I don't know the end game with LA Knight and Cameron Grimes and DiBiase.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna try my best to enjoy what they're giving us every week.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they did bring back the $1 million title, since there's been rumors of it, and maybe the winner of this match at TakeOver gets it, or maybe this is something that leads to one more blow off, and then that's for it, or something like that. Or who knows? DiBiase introduces a third guy that he picks, and it's not either of them. Who knows? But yeah, this has turned into a longer story than I expected it to be. Not that I'm 100% complaining about it, because I am thoroughly entertained by Cameron Grimes almost every week. So I'm all on board here. But I figured this would be DiBiase pops in for a week, maybe two, and that's it. But like, this has been a pretty long-term story, at least with Grimes and him. Now LA Knight's been involved for a few weeks, but like, it's been a long-term story. So there has to be some payoff. I just don't know what
6 weeks DiBiase's been around.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. So there's going to be I would assume there's going to be some sort of big payoff to all this. I'm just, as the weeks go on, I'm getting more confused about what that payoff actually is. So
whether it's a $1 million championship or it's some sort of $1 million match where the winner gets $1 million, who knows? But it wouldn't surprise me to see them go that route, or some sort of route.
Yeah. We have Wrestling Jeeves. He says, first-time watcher, but great show with a lot of great points being made. Keep up the fantastic work. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for hopping in. Please join us whenever we do this weekly. So, and then, Love Wrestling has a lot of other great streams throughout the week. So thank you for supporting us and hopping in. And please feel free to comment throughout the show. We show comments. We want to talk about the comments. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, so then we get a backstage promo. They show all three men kind of in the trainers' rooms, and three men, I mean O'Reilly, Gargano, and Dunn, recovering from the beatdown by Adam Cole, and we see Oney Lorcan notice the cameraman, kind of says, hey, get the hell out of here, and he goes, if it wasn't for Adam Cole, Pete Dunne would be the number one contender. Austin Theory was kind of like, no, not true. If it wasn't for Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano would be the number one contender. They get in each other's face. They start throwing down a little bit. I'm assuming setting up a match either next week or in future. I don't know if they announced it or not, but I
think so.
Seems to be that'll be a match. Fine. I like Oney Lorcan. He's from Boston, where I'm from. But yeah, whatever. Then we see a segment with Ted DiBiase again being interviewed.
And right in the middle, he's talking about how LA Knight let him down, and he's been really impressed with Cameron Grimes and things like that. And then right in the middle of it, we just see Adam Cole shoot right by. He's going to the ring, and that was kind of it. And then we get what I thought was probably NXT had a lot of good, but I thought this was one of the highlights. It was definitely the thing you saw on social media all week was this. Adam Cole comes out. He's in the ring, says he's back for 2 months. He was gone. He said he's the true number one contender. He said he took out all 3 of those guys in one night, and he did it very easily. He should be the number one contender. He calls Karrion Kross an overrated musclehead, I believe was the term he used. And he calls Karrion Kross out. Karrion Kross obliges, walks right to the ring, gets right in his face. Karrion Kross calls Adam Cole a little man. Hey, little man, or whatever he said. And Adam Cole's like, okay. Yeah, you can see Adam Cole like kind of, yeah, all right, whatever. You're going to go there, buddy? Cool. Cole says he was the NXT champion for 400 days, and that was no accident. Mm-hmm. That was another good line. Cole had a few just awesome. Kross says that he understands why Cole did what he did earlier. He says that once Karrion Kross signed with NXT and WWE, that Adam Cole no longer became special. I thought that was a really good line by Kross. And then Adam Cole, what I think was the highlight of the whole thing, he goes, ever since you got here, they've tried to make you look special. They give you the music, you got the smoke, you got the lights, you got the girl. And he goes, you know what they do to make Adam Cole special? They ring the frickin' bell.
Ding, ding.
Man, dude. I was watching. I was like, I just started clapping by myself. Yep. I was like, oh, wonderful.
I bowed in the lounge room.
Good Lord. I loved it. I was like, whoo. I got goosebumps now. I was like, wow, what a pro.
So good.
So good. And he says on Kross's best day, he couldn't lace Adam Cole's boots. And he says he doesn't see anything special. All he sees is somebody who has his property. I thought this was fantastic. I thought Cole was good the whole time, but when Kross got out there, it was like next level, top tier Adam Cole, which is one of the best in the world, easily.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll let you go, man. What'd you think of the promo? What'd you think of everything here? And there's more to it. We didn't dive into all of it, but we'll stop here and talk about the promo.
First off, Cole calling himself the true number one contender is the biggest having a giraffe I've heard in a long time. He hasn't won a singles match since December. Yeah. That's 6 months. And he comes out saying, I'm the number one contender. Come on, man. Get out of here with that crap. Anyway, but then he goes on to list his accomplishments. I've won this, I've won that. I was NXT champ for 400 days. It makes sense. Mm-hmm. He deserves to be at the top of the card, whether you like it or not. Planting him straight back into the title picture, it's a subjective call. I personally don't care because he's that good. But if you want to nitpick, he hasn't won a singles match in 6 months. December he beat Dream, and Dream no longer works there. So
it is one of those things where you want people look at, and Adam Cole is one of the few that might be the exception to the rule just because of who he is, Mm-hmm. But you don't want to get in WWE has they do this. And AEW kind of does it sometimes now too, which is kind of like, but you don't want to give guys big opportunities when they don't earn the opportunities. Now they got around this because Adam Cole's saying these things and Regal comes out. Yeah. And Regal is basically saying like, I see what you're doing here. You're trying to angle yourself for a one-on-one match with Kross for the title. You're not doing it. And I like how they got around with it by basically Kross saying, Regal, shut up. Yeah. I want them all.
So, they portrayed Cole as like the smart heel here. Like they made it so, okay, he's smart enough to know that if he pisses the champion off, the champ's a hothead. He's going to go, you know what? zip it, Regal. Just give me him. But to Cole's shock, he said, give me freaking everyone.
Yeah, and again, and I know Karrion Kross hasn't hit with everybody yet, and some people are like, yeah, it's just not for me. I thought that was a good thing, just saying like, hey, man, shut up. I'll fight them all. We'll literally fight them all. And then we have we have now, a fatal 5-way, which will be the main event of TakeOver in your house. And it'll be Karrion Kross, Pete Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly, Johnny Gargano, and Adam Cole. I'm assuming that match is going to be insane. 5 guys is a lot of superstars or wrestlers in a match. There's going to be a lot of spots, a lot of craziness going on. But I mean, it should be a wild match. But I did like Kross kind of making that decision for Regal. You know, I thought that was a nice little touch. We have Jeebus says, I think you both have more claim to the number 1 contendership than Adam Cole does right now. I know Matt and I have as many wins as he does since December. So, I don't think you're wrong there, my man.
No. And this is where I'm at with this. I have no doubt this match is going to rule.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt at all.
Oh, yeah.
These are the 4 challenges you have in this match. Pete Dunne. His last title opportunity was against Finn at TakeOver Vengeance Day in February. Lost. Hasn't done a whole lot to justify a title match since. Kyle O'Reilly lost his last 2 title opportunities. Did beat Cole at TakeOver. Take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Gargano just lost the North American title 2 weeks ago and hasn't won a singles match since to justify being in the title match. And then you got Cole, who hasn't won a singles match since December. They're the 4 challenges.
Yeah.
So the match is going to rule, and it's, and
they
the best guys on the brand, but
exactly, they have the name recognition to be in there, but they haven't really, any of them really haven't earned the right to be in there. And I think that's where the issue can arise.
And a lot of people will say, and I've been one of them, with AEW and the rankings and blah, blah, blah. But when you have rankings, it puts it out there. You see the numbers and they have to make it make sense. Whereas NXT here are just getting through on, Pete Dunne's a big name. Johnny Gargano is Johnny Gargano. Chuck him in the main event. And you deep dive into it and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, I would agree. I agree with everything you said there. I think this match will just be awesome and rule. Mm-hmm. But when you look at the story of like why these guys are getting this opportunity, none of them have really earned it. And that's where it can start diluting what you're doing a little bit.
Yep.
All right. We then get a little small promo with Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. And Candice LeRae is very infatuated with Poppy, who will be performing live on NXT next week. And she questions basically like if she's coming or like if she's coming so she can be the Bad Bunny, I think was how it was presented a little bit.
That was an interesting sentence to me.
Are they going to go? Is Poppy going to wrestle Candice LeRae? Is that where they're going here? Like, is that what they're doing? Poppy all of a sudden?
You know what? Whatever.
The Bad Bunny thing worked out. That was one of the better matches at WrestleMania, in my opinion. I love Candice LeRae, so cool. I mean, if this gets her mainstream exposure of some sort or whatever, like I'm all for it. I just thought once they kind of referenced Bad Bunny, I was like, okay, so Poppy's going to wrestle. Like that's what I thought, but I guess we'll see. And then
she might as well just be like the NXT. That might as well just be the NXT band at this point.
Yeah, she should be. I mean, she fits the vibe of NXT perfectly, the music part of it at least. And she has
my type
kind
of music
that,
too. I reckon she slaps so hard.
Yeah, and she has kind of that, or at least it looks like she has kind of that like dark gothic-ish vibe to her. And the song, I don't listen to her outside, but all the songs that she's been involved with in NXT have been awesome. I like heavier stuff, and when she performed at the last one, like there was like breakdowns and death metal, like it was all. The end of that song was like, whoa, like all right, cool. I didn't know we were going that.
It's like Amy Lee from Evanescence on steroids. She just takes it to another level, and it's amazing. I like a lot of bands with women front men, if you want. And she just. Yeah, like I'm not a huge fan, but what I have heard, of theirs is really, really good.
Nice.
And yeah, you're right. If it gets Candice or from a selfish point of view, Indy, who's an Australian, mainstream media like Bronson Reed's been getting, then yeah, gimme all for it.
For sure. All right. We then get Wade Barrett tells us that they found someone to challenge Kushida for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship, as Kushida had an open challenge. And they debut a new character. His name is Carmelo Hayes. He was Christian Casanova on the indie scene. I know I'm in Massachusetts, so we have a local wrestling federation called Chaotic Wrestling. And I know that's where he came from. He was their heavyweight champion the last time before COVID, before I couldn't go to shows anymore locally. He's good. He's very good in the ring. He's a little guy, but he's very good in the ring. Can cut a good promo. Looks great. I was not expecting him. I know he had signed a few months ago and things like that. And I knew he was, I follow him on social media and stuff like that, but I didn't know he was that close to like television. So to see him get this spot with Kushida, and it was a competitive match. It was a good match.
I thought he dominated a large chunk of it.
Yeah, exactly. That was kind of a nice surprise for me because, like I said, I've been watching him on the indies around here in Massachusetts and New England for what seems like a pretty good, 3, 4, 5 years now. I'll let you go. What did you think of the match? What did you think of the Carmelo Hayes debut, or the match itself, but how they presented him, how he looked in the match? Kushida did end up winning and retaining the Cruiserweight title, as would be expected. But yeah, dive into Carmelo Hayes in general and just what you thought of this match.
What I really liked with this is, instead of just, hitting his music and bringing him out cold, they gave him, they had Barrett hype him up. They gave him a video package to let him introduce himself. So before he even came out, the fan knew a bit about him. And I really thought that was a good way to segue into having someone debut in an open challenge. It was different. And personally, for me, who hadn't seen, very little to any of his indie stuff, it was a good intro to what to, I say expect, but I didn't expect what we got. I thought this match was super competitive. He looked really good. He belonged in there with one of the best in the world, one of the best lighter weight wrestlers in the world. He didn't look out of his depth at any point. This was a really good showing, and he's, if he keeps working hard, he's got a lot of years in that system in him, and he'll have his time in the sun if he keeps working hard. You could even see Kushida. Kushida was,
I did like the sign of respect at the end too. Like Kushida kind of was like, "Hey man, like, that was good, like good match."
Kushida's wrestled some big names. Had some really good matches with big names. So, to get the tick of approval from someone like Kushida, it's not something to be sneezed at.
No, for
but
sure.
I thought it was really good. I look forward to seeing more of him going forward. Matt, I'm looking forward to seeing, Hayes versus Jake Atlas and all that sort of stuff moving forward. Those sort of matches I'm looking forward to see.
Yeah, you can see that. You can see them start, and like Atlas has been on TV for a little bit now, but like you can see them starting to, back when NXT wasn't on USA, and even before it blew up to what it was, like they had their stars, but then you would see the newer people on the show, right? And sometimes you would even see it to the extent where you would see the same person doing different like they would be one character when you see them the first time, they try it out, they would have a match and lose to somebody or whatever, and then the next time you saw them, they were a completely different, it was a different thing, like you saw on television that they were trying out things, you know what I mean?
Look at Leon Ruff. Leon Ruff got over by being a jobber on all three brands multiple times. And look at him now.
Exactly.
It can't work.
And I think now we're starting to see, and these, I don't think they're jobbers because they're having competitive matches and they're making them look strong. So it's a different thing, but you're starting to see NXT throw the guys and girls that I think they know are future players for them on TV now. They're losing to Kushidas and they're losing. Well, although Jake Atlas won tonight, but they're losing to Cameron Grimes's and some of the ladies that are losing to they're losing to the established stars, but they're getting reps and they're getting TV time and that display because Triple H and the people that run NXT know that these are the people on the next crop that if these people go to the main roster when things get back to normal or whatever, you're going to need constantly a refreshing of new stars, and I think it's just cool when you see this. I'll let you go. Yeah,
I think they're being a little bit more picky with who they're signing to the PC these days. They're not just picking willy-nilly people from the indies so someone else will get them. They're actually picking people that they see that are, borderline TV ready already. They refine them a little bit and then throw them out there. Yeah. Like even Taya, she came in. You could have put her on TV the week after she was signed, but they took her in. They gave her some vignettes to keep her fresh, refined her to the WWE way, and now she's doing what she's doing. Carmelo Hayes, again, I haven't seen much or any of his independent stuff, but I would assume that he signed not too long ago.
Yeah.
So they obviously recognize the fact that he was, pretty much TV ready already.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of person that they're looking to sign, I believe. And in this day and age, finding those people is not hard.
Yeah.
These people have exposure to, the GCWs and all these places that are on your IWTVs and all these streaming services that have, hard cams and soft cams and all this sort of stuff. So, finding these, it's not a diamond in the rough to find these people anymore. It's just, picking who you think best suits your product instead of just buying in bulk so someone else can't have them.
I would agree. All right. We then get a couple promos. We get MSK cutting a promo stating that Legado del Fantasma is not ready for their tag title match later on tonight and that they will take care of him. Short and sweet there. We then get Frankie Monet cutting a promo saying and reading all the rave reviews for her debut. I thought this was short and sweet and was funny. She's, reading
Frankie.
some. Yeah, she's good. She's reading some reviews saying like, oh, best debut ever. And she looked great and blah, blah, blah. And then she kind of looks at the camera and lowers her sunglasses and she says, and I'm just getting started. And all on board.
Never a true word spoken.
Yeah. And I'm excited to see. I want to see her more now. You know what I mean? Like I want to see her wrestling regularly. Let's go. Let's start I know Raquel's got it. Like we don't have to rush to anything, but I want to start seeing Monet in feuds with other women and just start moving up the card,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The way they put her out there, everything that they do to make her feel special makes her special.
Mm-hmm.
Like even this, it was so simple, but you couldn't take your eyes off this.
Yeah.
It's just the production of her is so good, even down to her ring gear. Her ring gear is just different.
Oh yeah,
and she's a good looking woman. She's talented. She can talk. She's the total package of what you want in a women's wrestler, and she was such an amazing signing for them.
Yeah, I agree. She's going to be a big time player for NXT and WWE in general. Like huge signing.
As I said last week or the week before, you're not Impact champion and beating people like Jordan Grace and co. for 12 months when you're a mug. She's very, very good.
All right, we then get a women's tag team match. We have Zeta Ramir and Zoe Stark versus The Way, Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. I thought this match was solid. It was quick. I thought this match was solid, though. LeRae and Indy Hartwell obviously get the victory, prepping them up as being the dominant tag champs. I don't know if you have anything to add about. I mean, it was a good match. Like Zoe Stark looked great again. I thought Zeta, when she had her moments in the ring, looked very good too. I think she's one of the ones that we kind of throw in what I was kind of talking about a little while ago. Like She hasn't had any huge, moments or anything like that yet, but she's been involved, and you know that she's going to be a primetime player in the women's division, like in the next crop of people. What'd you think about this match? Anything stick out to you, or just kind of,
No, it was short and sharp. It wasn't what it needed to be.
Yeah.
The only problem with the women's tag titles, it's similar to the main roster. The division is so wafer thin that the challengers are in short supply.
Yeah.
You've got Ember challenging for this main singles title, whether Shotzi's injured or that's just the route they're going. That's one less team you've got. And they're having to manufacture teams like Zeta and Zoe. It's I don't know.
I don't like Zoe Stark getting another loss either.
No,
Again,
granted, she didn't get pinned, but
yeah,
I'm on board. I agree.
What's her TV record? Like 2-10 or something like it's, like, and again, she's always been presented strong. Like, it's fine, but like at some point, if you're gonna, you got to win matches, and even with this, she's in a
Lance Archer problem, isn't it?
Yeah, and we've talked about it, and we got AEW still to go coming up here shortly, but that seems to be a thing that AEW struggles with too. Oh, we have too many people, so people that should not be losing lose, and then it gets to the point where, like, if and we'll dive into it when we dive into it, but like if Lance Archer's in another big match, he needs to. Like, if he doesn't win that match, then it's over. That's it, So I don't want Zoe to go there. She is really, really good in the ring. Very good.
They need to do a lot of less is more.
Yeah.
In regards to wins and losses, not so much with having divisions that you don't have challenges for.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zoe Stark needs to start churning out some wins.
I guess for me, it's like, okay, you have a performance center, you have all these guys and gals there that might not be on TV for a while, but okay. Yeah. But you sign them, they're there. Like, you obviously believe in their talent enough to sign them to a contract. So if you're going to have a small, quick match for Indy and Candice to basically just look strong and get over, why does it have to be against Zoe Stark? Like, why couldn't it have been Zeta and one of the other recruits that nobody has seen yet? And you're like, okay. And then they have a competitive match. You let them hit a move or two, and then they get beat. Or why does it, or why can't it just be two random people that we haven't seen yet? And it's just, the match is what it is. It's a 5-minute match where Candice and Indy are going to win. Like,
this could have been the match we were meant to see a few weeks ago. This could have been Jessie Kamea and Aaliyah in this position.
Yeah, that's another good one. That's another, like, what hurt does that do them? Like, why?
None.
Zoe, who you've kind of prepped as like, hey, this person's really young and good, like a future star or whatever. Okay, I believe that when I watch her in ring, but every time I see her get pinned in that same match, every time, that belief of that gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So just fill it in with other people that a loss doesn't matter as much. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But at the same token, they could be replaced. Like, instead of having this match, you could use Candice and Indy backstage and get them on screen that way, and have someone like Zoe Stark defeating an Aaliyah, a Jessie Kamea, a Casey Catanzaro, a Caden Carter, someone like that. Get her the wins. Yeah, that's a route they could also go. So I don't know. They'll figure it out eventually. She's got time on her side.
Yeah,
but yeah, they're running a massive risk of the casual fan just losing a lot of interest in her really quickly.
Exactly. We then get another vignette for the Diamond Mine. Looks to be some sort of MMA cage fighting type thing, I guess. They haven't really dived in too much of it, but that's coming soon, I guess.
I don't know what to make of this.
I don't either. I obviously wanted to touch it because it showed up on the screen, but I have no idea what the hell this thing's going to be. I got nothing.
It could be some sort of Raw Underground for all.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe they yanked Raw Underground and they were like, let's make it look a little better and we'll make it an NXT thing. Maybe. But it looks like, I know in some of the previews and the vignettes, they've shown a cage. They've shown a cage of some sort. They've shown kickboxing and things like that. So maybe it'll be more of a mixed martial arts aspect of the show or just a brawling fight. I don't know. But We'll see it when it actually debuts, but I am very much like you. I have no idea what to make of it.
That's the best part, I think.
It is, yes. No, it does leave you intrigued, which is when wrestling can make you think and make you excited for something. That's what we love about it. So then we get the main event, a good one.
Yeah.
It was the NXT Tag Team Championship. We had Legado del Fantasma accompanied by Santos Escobar against the champions MSK. MSK getting some boos again during this match. I know I've mentioned it before. They were louder this time. That's something that I think you could keep an eye on.
Yep.
Because I've noticed, the last maybe 3 or 4 matches they've been in, there have been some boos, and I think they're getting louder every time. I don't think it's specifically because of their in-ring work, because they're great. But I think the characters... I think
the novelty might be wearing off with the crowd.
Yeah. So something to think about. Maybe they think about turning heel or doing whatever, maybe a pivot of character. I don't know.
Maybe.
But you could not avoid the boos this week, I thought. I thought when they were happening, they were happening. But all in all, as you would expect from these 4, good match. Good match. Got a little chaotic towards all 4 of them at one point were exchanging strikes in the ring, and then they all are on the ground, and we get a visit by the grizzled young veterans, and they are immediately met by Tommaso and Thatcher, who they just start fighting and run off, so they don't really necessarily get involved in the match, but 2 other tag teams that are in this top championship picture. We see them. We see Santos Escobar try to get involved. He throws Lee into the steps later on in the match when the ref is distracted. So it kind of broke down throughout certain aspects of the match. But again, great match. MSK does get the victory. They hit the Frankensteiner powerbomb combo, which looks awesome. I don't know if they have a name for it yet, but just that move looks cool. And they retained. What were your opinions of this match? What do you think? I know we've talked glowingly about these 2 teams in past, but just this match in general, we know we've seen them fight a few times now. I thought it was another good showing by MSK, regardless of the boos and how you feel. And I love Legado del Fantasma as a trio, as a tag. I'm a big fan of theirs. I would have loved it if they won. But what'd you think of this main event tonight? Or on Tuesday, sorry.
This was a very good way to bookend a show. The middle part of this program got a bit wonky sometimes, but if you can bookend it with a match as good as you started with, and then have the other bookend be this, there's not much to complain about. MSK getting boos. I don't know. I'm not sure why. Their in-ring presentation is really good. They're a good team. I think the first team to beat them should probably be made to be a big deal instead of, they've been pinned in a 6-man, but first team to defeat them in a standard tag match and take the titles, it should be made to be a really big deal because they've been booked quite strong. Any team that can come into the system, be a mystery team in the Dusty Cup, and then win the whole thing en route to winning the tag titles, that's a big deal. That's strong booking out of the gate. It got a bit botchy down the stretch, but when you're moving at 110 kilometers an hour, miles per hour, whichever way you want to run with the terminology, it's going to happen. Yeah. And you know what? So what?
Yeah.
I'm fine.
These 4 have a track record that it's not. They have a track record of what we've seen of them that those things are few and far between. You know what I mean? So like you said, when you're at that pace, like not everyone's perfect. You're going to mess up here or there, but
yeah. And, as I said, when you're moving as quick as these 2 teams were, 4 men were, I can get past that. That's fine. It didn't take me out of the match. It didn't take away from how good the match was or any of that. Bronson running Escobar over was so good. So good. It was timed to perfection. Escobar sold it like he was hit by a truck. Yeah. It was just, all of it was amazing.
Yeah.
But MSK, rightly, wrongly, they win. And you know what? If they wanted to make Reed and MSK a trio, Cool.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. And it does seem like they're hinting at like trios, maybe trios belts or down the line. Who knows? The NXT has enough belts, but if you want to make them a trio for this feud, I'm all for that. 100%. I think it actually works well. MSK with Bronson. I think it looks good. They look like they belong. So I'm all cool with that too. I'm really looking forward to the Bronson Reed Santos Escobar match whenever that does happen. Another thing though, where Santos, the last couple of times we saw him, losses.
Yep.
And then he automatically, the way that they've treated the Cruiserweight title, they've kind of brought it back to importance. So I don't want to say a step up, but the North American title is
it's the secondary to the main
it's a step up from the Cruiserweight. I think Santos Escobar, from a talent perspective, a character perspective, 100% is on that level. 100%. But the last couple times he's had big matches, he's lost. And again, this is the similar thing to the 4 dudes in the 5-way, excluding Cross. Yes, we know from a talent stature and character stature, they belong there, but they all haven't earned the right to be there. And I think with Santos Escobar, as much as I'm looking forward to big guy, little guy, and how great that match would be, because Reed is awesome and Santos is awesome, he hasn't earned that. Besides talking crap to Bronson Reed and saying I'm taking the title, you and I could show up on NXT and say, "Hey, you suck. I want your title." And we have as many wins as, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't. You got to earn it. You got to earn it. And
Bronson Reed liked my tweet before. We've got beef now, didn't you know?
There you go. So you got to pop up. You got to go to the Capitol Wrestling Center at some point. Just hop in there, man.
I got to challenge the big guy. It's just how it is. It's. I'm sorry, but that's just how it's got to be.
Yeah. All right. So that wraps up NXT. And now we will dive into AEW to round this show out this morning for me, this evening for Matt. Yeah, right. AEW Friday night special Dynamite again. We will be getting another Friday and some Saturdays. We're the schedule's a little, with the NBA playoffs, a little wonky.
One more Friday night, two Saturdays. The second Saturday night. Oh boy, what a main event.
Oh yeah. All right. But before we get to main events, this AEW kicked off with one hell of a tag team match. We had Pac. Yeah. We had Pac and Penta against the Young Bucks, with all 4 of these guys, like Matt just kind of joked around with. Not a shock that this match was awesome, but it was. I thought, first of all, before we dive into the match, I love Kazarian being the elite hunter and just kind of popping in and beating the shit out of these guys kind of one by one and getting away. I think that is such a cool role for him. He took out Carl Anderson, and then he just kind of ran off as they chased them away. There's a lot of meat on that bone that you could die. Like, that is just, I think that's a perfect fit for Kazarian. I loved it. I love that whole angle about that.
He did it at Double or Nothing too.
He did. Yeah. That was kind of the start of it. And then they're continuing. I love it. I did like commentary here. They commentary threw in a lot of things of importance at the beginning of this match. They announced that Moxley is out. Moxley's out of commission. I'm assuming maybe Renee might be close to Burt, or maybe he's taking time off. I don't know, but he's out of commission. Yep. And they said, and like JR even said a few times, like he's going to be gone for a while. That's what he said. They also announced that early, like they said, hey, this is the first time Pac and Penta have ever teamed like in this way, because Phoenix got attacked by the Young Bucks and he's injured and he's going to be out. So they kind of shored up some people being away a little bit, I thought, in good storyline ways with the commentary. And then they just let these.
I loved how they said, we're not going to show the attack.
Exactly. We're not going to happen earlier today. We're not going to show it because it didn't happen earlier.
Because it didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to show it, but it happened and he's out.
Yeah.
That was a nice touch. Yeah. But yeah, man, talk about this match, dude. This match was awesome. This match was awesome. Pac. All 4 of the guys are great, obviously, but Pac is just so good. He's so good.
Within a week, Pac has gone from world title challenger to banger of a tag match opening a Dynamite. How flexible is that, man? How do you stuff him up so badly in one company?
Yeah.
I've got no idea. But
Unbelievable.
you know what? He's also living his best life right now because he's having matches like this regularly, and this was so good. This was so good.
Man, it was so good. I thought one of the things that stuck out to me is when they did the package pile driver German suplex combo on the apron to the Bucks. That just looked brutal. Penta has some great, cool looking moves. He did like a springboard backstabber in the corner to Nick Jackson at one point. That looked awesome. He has that move where he lifts them up like a suplex kind of thing, but then like turns it into almost like a small package driver of sorts. That looks awesome.
The Murphy's Law.
Murphy does it too. Yeah.
Shingo uses it in New Japan.
Oh, so that one gets thrown around from everywhere, huh? Everyone uses that one.
That's what Shingo nearly killed Ospreay with, man.
Yeah. Oh, is that what actually injured Ospreay? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, dude. I just thought it was so good. The Young Bucks are just like we talked about when we were talking about Double Nothing at the top. Like just they're clicking on all cylinders. Pac is one of the best in the world. Penta is so good. It had the recipe for one of the best matches of the night, and it delivered. It delivered for sure. I thought it was the best match of the night, personally, far and away. I thought it was maybe the best match of the week of these two shows in general. So good. So good.
Yeah. One thing I didn't like.
Yes.
And if we're going to criticize WWE for doing stupid things, AEW are not immune.
Oh, no.
Penta comes off the top rope and blatantly kicks one of the Bucks in the dick in front of the ref and then gets a 2 count out of it.
It was Rick Knox, right? There's no rules. Rick Knox has no rules in his matches.
I don't care if it was Rick Knox or the homeless man around the corner. I don't care. Yeah. Don't put it in there. It's blatant. That is a perfect example of insulting your fans' intelligence. They don't do it a lot, thankfully. WWE do it all the time. Don't put it in there. It's not necessary. Just come off the top rope with an elbow, a leg drop. Don't come off the top rope at all. I don't care. Yep. Don't do something so blatant and then not be a DQ. It's just silly. But I did love that the heel team had to cheat to win.
Yes.
That's such a simple formula in pro wrestling, and it's so good.
Yep.
You know, you had them defeating Mox and Kingston pretty much clean for the most part at Double or Nothing, but they had to cheat here. It's such a simple formula, but it works so well. And the Bucks as heels, they're over the top, they're arrogant, and they're so damn good.
Oh yeah. And then the Young after the match, they do attack Pac and Penta, and Eddie Kingston runs down and kind of runs them off. And I did like Don Callis on commentary as like, oh, Eddie Kingston, that guy scares me half to death. He should be behind a fence somewhere. I just thought the way he said it was hilarious. Oh man, should be behind a fence somewhere. Guy scares me to death. Okay, all right. Callis is good. Say what you want about him. He's entertaining when he starts going on those rants like that. I thought he was a nice touch of commentary throughout the match as well.
Don Callis is like the Bucks heel persona. He's so over the top.
Yeah.
You either love it or you hate it. There's no gray. There's no in between. It's either one way or the other.
Yeah.
But if you've never seen the match where Kenny finally beats Okada 2 out of 3 falls, if you've never seen that, he commentates that match. Is he barracking the whole time? Not really, a little bit. The final pinfall, he says hook the leg about 6 times.
Oh, yeah.
And his voice gives out at the end of it. And then he just like basically falls back in his chair like he just wrestled the match.
Yeah.
That's what makes him so good. Mm-hmm. He is over the top with who he supports. Yeah. And it just adds to what they're trying to achieve. And it's so good.
Oh, yeah. It's been working very well so far. Yeah. We then get Tony Schiavone in the ring, and he calls out the newest addition to the AEW company roster, however you want to call it, the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. Mark Henry looks good. Trimmed down a little bit.
I love that he was wearing a salmon. I loved how that he was wearing a salmon shirt. I thought that was a nice touch. He had the salmon shirt underneath the suit coat. Yep. I love Mark Henry. Always been a huge fan of Mark Henry. So I'm glad that he's going to be doing something that, like when we saw the Paul White, the Big Show go over there. You saw that like excitement in Mark Henry, and you saw that with Paul White, Big Show, when he was there too. Like you can tell that, like, they might not be regular in-ring full-time people anymore, but they still want to be involved in wrestling. Yep. And WWE wasn't giving that for them anymore. And they weren't allowing them to do things that they wanted to do because they were older and blah, blah, blah. So they're like, all right, this company wants us to go over here, and they're excited to be involved. And I think the more veteran minds you have there for the younger people, and even Tony Khan's only been running a wrestling organization for 2 years too. It's been a good 2 years so far. He's done a lot of really, really good things, but just that Big Show has been wrestling and Mark Henry since the mid-90s. Like Mark Henry was WWF, WWE the whole time, but Big Show was WCW. He was WWE. He knows how a show is run. He has ideas. All these guys have ideas.
Yeah.
Not only for the running of the show, the way things can happen, but for the younger talent. And now you have, Jericho's been there since day one, but you have Jericho, you have Christian Cage, Mark Henry, Big Show. You even have guys like Eddie Kingston on the indie route that have been doing it forever. Lance Archer's been around for a long time. You have all these veterans that are essential parts of the show, but they're also there for the young guys who are already essential parts of the show. And to me, it's a really nice mix of legends, veterans, young guys and girls that are going to be here forever. Like
Sting, they've got Sting
as well. Yeah, completely forget that. They have all these people that are just so much knowledge for these younger people, So Mark Henry comes out. He is going to be an analyst on Rampage, which is coming out in a few months, which is a good thing. I love that. He is then asked by Tony Schiavone if we will see him wrestle at all. And Mark Henry says, I'm not going to say yes, but, and he does this famous line from the John Cena. He goes, I got a lot left in the tank. And the crowd kind of pops. And then all of a sudden we get Vicky. We hear the excuse me.
The screeching.
The screeching. Yeah. And we get Vicky Guerrero. And she comes out and she tells both of them to get the hell out of the ring. She's got an announcement to make. They just get out of the ring. And she says she has someone that she needs to introduce. And she introduces Andrade El Idolo, I believe is what they're going to call him. But it's Andrade. Looked great. Nice, wonderful looking suit. Had the sunglasses, the jewelry. He looked like $1 million because he is.
Fucking nice.
Yeah. Walked out there. I don't know if this was taped or not. The pop, and I know Throwback did mention it earlier. He did say that the pop for Andrade seemed to be. What's he say here? Here he says Andrade's promo was interesting. The crowd pop wasn't as big as I think it should have been. I don't know if they had a limited crowd and it wasn't a full house or it was taped or anything like that, but it did seem at first that it was a little. I would have expected a bigger roar,
I think what they suffered from was a bit of tiring the crowd. I believe they taped Dark and Elevation before the show.
Gotcha.
So whether this was also a tape show, I don't know, but I'm led to believe those other two shows were taped beforehand. So that's a good, 3-4 hours of tapings before Dynamite even kicks off.
Yep.
What didn't help was the fact that Vicky, and I like the pairing of Andrade and Vicky, like two Latinos together. It's a good mix. What didn't help was Vicky garners such nuclear heat, and the way she screeches her promos, it was sort of hard to hear or understand. And then he had no entrance music on top of that, no Titantron, no nothing. He just sort of walked out. Once the crowd saw who he was and what was
you
going on,
heard it. Yeah,
they were like, "Oh shit!" They were pointing and cheering, and it was all the good stuff that you would want. But it took them a bit because of how it came across. The presentation could have been a little bit better, but what I did like was straight out of the gate, they allowed him to do something he was either never allowed or very rarely allowed to do in WWE, and that was use one of these things.
Yeah, and outsider perspective, I'm not in the biz, but his English seemed pretty damn good to me. And I know that was reports during the time, like when he went to Vince and was like, what do I need to do to be a superstar? And Vince was like, learn English. Well, it seemed like he did. Yes, it was only a one-line promo. I get that, but seemed like he could talk pretty damn good English to me.
I've heard people like Sean Rossap say they've been at media days and he voluntarily was going out of his way to do promos in English, because that's what he felt he needed to do to get better. And it also helps when the fiance speaks perfect English.
Yep.
And your soon-to-be father-in-law was arguably one of the best promos in pro wrestling history.
Yep. And
so he's got a lot going for him. His in-ring talent is undeniably good.
Yeah.
He's, between him and Escobar, I even asked you during the week, who sits higher on the pecking order. You can't. Yeah. For me, I can't split them. They're both. Santos maybe a touch higher because his English is probably a little bit more fluent.
Yeah.
But that's nitpicking so badly.
Yeah.
His in-ring talent is undeniable, and AEW have shown with Penta teaming in with Alex, and so on and so forth, that if your English is not 100%, we'll find a way around it because your in-ring talent speaks more than your words ever can.
Yep.
So, I have all the faith in the world that they'll use him better than he was ever used in WWE.
Yep.
Granted, he was a United States champion, NXT champion over there, so they didn't always use him badly.
Yeah.
But I'm of the firm belief that he will get a good run and a good shake at resurrecting his career over there.
Oh, for sure. And, he says, he used to say that he was the face of Latinos, but now he is the face of all elite wrestling. I'm excited. That guy, we talked about it when he was released. He's a can't miss guy to me. The second you see him, you're like, okay, like that's a superstar. Like the second you see him, and just think of all the matches. Obviously he's already booked for the AAA title against Omega, but this leads to more Omega matches. This leads to Pac. Like just think of all Jungle Boy, Orange Cat, like all these matches that this guy we're going to get to watch against these other really it's very exciting it's very exciting for him to be there and to think
look,
about
I personally enjoyed that small feud he had with Rey Mysterio. I thought the two Latinos working together was amazing. So just think of what he's going to do with your Pentas, your Phoenixes.
Yeah, think about him and Rey Fenix on a one-on-one match and how crazy special that could be. Yeah, exactly. Throwback did say, he says in AEW you have guys that have a creative and positive outlook compared to WWE. Raw is a good example on a company having too many hands in the cookie jar. That's why Raw is suffering. Also, Andrade's English was amazing. You didn't hear him cut promos like that in WWE. He said one line. Think about that. We're all three of us, including Throwback, are like, yeah, his English was really good. Like it was a good promo. He said one line. And one line there was more than any promo I can remember him cutting. He had Zelina, don't get me wrong, and Zelina's great and she could talk. But
that was a fantastic pairing.
Oh yeah, fantastic. And I think, I do like the Vicky pairing with him as well. But why wouldn't you just give him the chance? Like I feel like they almost never, he did talk, but they didn't give him a ton of opportunity to do so in WWE.
He's never going to be John Moxley on the microphone, and I don't.
Not
expect
a lot of
him
people
to be.
know, though.
No, exactly. Like people have been speaking English their whole life, and they're not John Moxley on the microphone.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't expect him to be, and that's fine. But if he can cut short 2, 3, 4 sentence promos and say what he needs to say, get out of there, and then just dominate in ring and show everyone exactly how good he is on a weekly television show. Happy days.
Yeah, man. All right, as the show continues on, the next match is a tag team match. It is Cody and Lee Johnson against Anthony Ogogo and QT Marshall. I thought this match was actually pretty good. I thought it was all right. It's pretty decent.
Yeah.
It seems to me that they tried to make up, or this was like the 50-50 of what happened at Double or Nothing, which I don't like for multiple reasons, but it was kind of – the match was solid. I thought Ogogo looked good when he was in there. He had he had this really cool stomp on the outside to Lee Johnson where he like jumped up and kind of just 1 foot stomped him all the way down to the ground. That was cool. Later on in the match, when Cody had the figure 4 on QT Marshall, where it looked like the match would end, he hit that giant frog splash to kind of break up that, which I thought was cool. And then we got toward the finish of the match was Aaron Solo. Is it Solo or Solo? I'm sorry. I don't remember.
Solo, I think.
Solo, right? Yeah. Aaron Solo comes out and distracts the ref, and Cody's about to hit crossroads on QT Marshall, and Ogogo just gives him a right hook right across the jaw. Knocked Cody out unconscious. Cody just fell right back, and QT just kind of fell on top of him, and they got the victory. I thought you made Ogogo look strong with that punch to the face. You just knocked Cody right out. Just knocked him right unconscious. Cody played it well, fell right down. Good way to end the match. I would have just preferred Ogogo to knock him out at Double or Nothing like that, maybe. Yeah, what'd you think of the tag match? What'd you think about Ogogo and QT Marshall getting the victory? Afterwards, QT Marshall did grab the mic and start shouting that he shocked the world with that. But yeah, what'd you think of this whole thing in general?
Yeah, the match was better than I expected it, I'll be honest. It shocked me that Cody took the pin. Especially after what we saw at Double or Nothing, I was expecting Big Shotty to take the pin 100%. I thought he was there to take the pin, and I would have been fine with that. If Ogogo had a pin Big Shotty, cool. I don't think QT gains anything from pinning Cody here. I think Ogogo would have been better to get the pin here, whether on Cody or Big Shotty, it doesn't matter, especially after losing on Sunday. But this is what frustrates me across all wrestling promotions. Ogogo hits one punch here, Cody falls down, QT pins him.
Yep.
On Sunday, Ogogo did the pants shitter punch, then punched him in the face, pinned him, but Cody's arm was under the ropes. Logic says you just drag him to the middle of the ring.
Yeah, he's unconscious, right?
He's not getting up.
Yeah, he's unconscious from at least what we saw tonight, Friday. Sorry. At least what we saw on this episode of Dynamite. Yeah, the logic says, well, he should have just been unconscious no matter what. Correct.
That's the frustrating part about Ogogo and the way they're presenting him. Yeah, I would have preferred Ogogo to get the pin here, but again, the heel team gets the win via underhanded cheating means between cheating, Solo and doing what they have. AEW do a good job of that. They try to minimize the distractions or interference finishes, which is quite good. Granted, we saw a lot of it in the title match at Double or Nothing, but that sort of plays into Omega and the way he's presented. And I think that's, they do that well. And it played into the story here. But what I found very interesting was QT after the match with the microphone. Everything was I did it. I did it my own. Rah rah rah. Is that, I don't know. Is that just a throwaway? Is that somewhere they're going? I'm interested. I'm curious.
Could definitely play the angle of all these three young guys are doing my dirty work for me, but I'm taking all the credit type of thing.
Yeah.
And then you see maybe eventually down the line when they're built up a little bit better as singles like entities. That these three guys go like, the hell with you, brother. Yeah, the hell with you, man. Like, we've been doing all this. You've just been whatever. You wouldn't have won that match if I didn't knock Cody out. So, but yeah, I thought it was good. Yeah. We then get a Stadium Stampede recap from Double or Nothing, and then we get the Inner Circle.
It is wonderful. I know it's been a few weeks now, but it's wonderful to have the full crowd there singing the Jericho song. I think it's just such a cool thing. Just such a cool thing that you see every week, but it's just never gets old in my eyes. Yep. So Jericho celebrates. He calls them the Stadium Stampede 2021 victors. They're celebrating. He calls Sammy Guevara the hero of the match. Sammy gets on the mic, says that he can remember doing that 630 off his mom's roof when he was a kid while his mom would be yelling at him, hey, get off of there, kind of thing. I thought that was a nice little touch. And then he looks and he says, that was one of the best moments of my life, of my career. I love you guys. They have a little group hug. Crowd's going crazy. Santana then starts talking, and I like Santana. I'm a big fan of his promo work when they let him do it. I think he's good. Santana grabs the mic. He says, even though they won Stadium Stampede, he still hates the fact that he has to walk by the Pinnacle in the back. He still hates the pompousness that he's still hearing from the Pinnacle and things like that. And he basically says that even though they got the better hand at Stadium Stampede, like, this is far from over in his eyes. We then get Jake Hager. It seems like Ortiz is really the only one they don't let talk a lot. That's just how that might. Yeah. They give everyone their small little things, but it seems like they let Sammy talk. They let Santana. They give him more rope. Hager talks, but Hager's kind of just, he has a certain.
Well, this was the best of his.
I agree, and we're gonna dive into it.
To be honest,
yes, but they let Hager talk, and obviously Jericho is the leader. But it just seems like they never really give Ortiz like a full rub on the microphone. I don't know why, but that's just something that I picked up over the weeks.
He's the really rabid dog that only gets a little bit of chain.
Yeah.
You don't let him fully loose.
So then Hager does grab the mic, and I agree with you. I think this was the best he's been in this kind of thing. Calls out Wardlow, says, "Hey, you beat me in a regular match here," which I'm glad he referenced that. Yeah. And he says, "But I want you to see if you can handle me in my world." Then he challenges him to an MMA cage fight 2 weeks on Dynamite. That should be cool. Yeah. MMA cage fight, like throwing that kind of new, that's a new type of match. Like we've seen it before here or there, not a cage really, but we've seen grappling matches and things like that. But I think that's cool. Yeah, definitely different. And then Jericho grabs the mic to kind of round out the promo, and he says that he needs to beat MJF one-on-one. He needs to beat MJF. So it seems like we're continuing with this Pinnacle Inner Circle stuff. I know you had picked last week the Inner Circle to continue. I thought they were going to break up. That's how much I thought this was over. Obviously, they did not. I'm not upset by it. But yeah, talk about the promo. Talk about how you feel about Inner Circle and Pinnacle seemingly just continuing on as for however long more, but it seems that's going to continue being the main feud between these 10 guys. Tell me what you think. Did you think that about the promo too?
No. Yeah, it was okay. Why? Why? If I had known it was going to continue, I would have pushed so violently hard for the Pinnacle to win and break Inner Circle up. Why?
Yeah.
You know what? If I get FTR versus Santana and Ortiz in an actual tag match out of this, then hallelujah.
Why? I think that's the way. If you're going to, and they're going to, if you're going to continue it, I think that's what you need to do. We don't need to see another 5-on-5. Like we got that. Like Pinnacle won the Blood and Guts. Inner Circle won the Stampede. Cool. Yeah. Now we should just have, whether it's at the next pay-per-view or, I mean, that's far away. I wouldn't want them to drag it till then. But whether it's on a supersized Dynamite or whatever, give me the one-on-ones. Like, give me Sammy versus Spears because whatever. Give me Santana and Ortiz versus the FTR. Give me Hager and Wardlow, and then give me MJF and Jericho. One-on-one tag matches, no group, and then just kind of let it play out how it's going to play out.
But my problem is MJF versus Jericho. We've seen it before. If they do it again, they run the risk of 50-50ing it, and unless MJF is going to beat Jericho again, I don't see the point.
Yeah.
I don't want MJF losing to people like Jericho. Jericho is great. He's one of the greatest potentially of all time. I don't need MJF losing to a 51, 52-year-old man.
Yeah.
I don't need it.
And maybe
Hager,
he does.
Yeah. Hager and Wardlow, you're going to have a cage fight, MMA cage fight. You can't have Hager lose. He's undefeated as a professional in Bellator. He just can't lose. It's not a good look. So you're 50-50 in that straight off the bat.
Yeah, and I thought Stampede would be the end of it.
I
thought that was going to be the end of it. I think it should have been, but
you know what? If they were smart, they would have done some sort of 5-on-5 on a Dynamite, and the Pinnacle get some sort of dodgy underhanded win there. Jericho cracks the shits, and then they do blood and guts at the pay-per-view. That would have been the smarter way to go about it.
Yeah.
And then, Inner Circle wins there, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
But they sort of did it all backwards.
Yeah. I guess we'll see. But it looks like we're strapping in for a little more Inner Circle versus Pinnacle stuff on AEW.
Yeah.
We then get a couple quick vignettes. We get Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. Chucky T says that they cheated. Chucky T and Trent separately, but they basically say, hey, bad guys cheated, bad guys won. Like, not ideal, but Orange Cassidy should be the heavyweight champion. He should have won it twice in that match. And Callis pulled out the ref, and people got involved. And they basically screwed him, and the bad guys did what bad guys do, and they cheated to win. And then Orange Cassidy, short and sweet, looks at the camera and just says, this isn't over. So, all on board. I'm all on board for Orange Cassidy versus Omega one-on-one. All on board for that, 100%. I thought that was the route they were going to go,
Do you know who hates? From what I saw on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
There is only one type of person that hated or disliked the title match at Double or Nothing. People who don't like Orange Cassidy. Those people need to just smile more. They need to just smile just a little bit more in life.
It's okay to enjoy things.
It's okay to enjoy. It's okay to love wrestling.
Yeah.
Because OC is so damn good. He should have won twice, and you picked it like a blood nose. Like the people bought a ticket on that one where Callis pulled the ref out.
Yep.
Bought a
100%.
ticket.
Yep.
And you know what? And Omega rolled him up and got the win. That's what a good heel does.
Yep.
But I'm glad that as a collective, they are pissed that OC got, their man got screwed.
Yep.
Because they know he can hang, and they know he is good enough to do it. And if they're going to continue with OC versus Omega, again, OC is not going to win it, but
no, but it'll be
gimme.
Yeah, it'll be good. And then we transition to Kenny Omega with Don Callis. Looks like they're looking at footage from the Triple Threat. Callis says that there is a conspiracy to take down Kenny Omega, and that AEW and people are trying to get all the belts off of him, and that next week on Dynamite, they have evidence that shows so. And then Kenny Omega grabs the mic, and he starts talking about Jungle Boy. They mentioned the Jungle Boy match in a few weeks. He says, he says Jungle Boy is not terribly worried about, but he's a good competitor. He's got a great theme song, he says. And then him and Callis start doing the ooh, oh, oh. They start doing the theme song. I thought
so
that
on
was
point. Was so good.
they were killing it. I thought it was funny. The conspiracy stuff, okay, that to me seems like something that, Sami Zayn's been running with on the other show for months and months and months. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's nothing new to professional wrestling. We'll have to see what it actually is, with the evidence that they show next week. But
it'll be Omega reversing a pin. I can almost guarantee it.
Yeah.
I didn't cheat to win the match. I just rolled him up. Yeah, but
Exactly.
Yeah, that's probably the route they're going to go.
Yeah, but I thought this was entertaining. Omega is just so good, and Callis is good when he's in this realm here. And I thought them singing the Jungle Boy music was fantastic. Yeah. And then that did lead into what I thought was another really good tag match. Jungle Boy and Christian Cage going against Private Party. This match had a picture-in-picture, what kind of ruined it a little bit for me. But I thought this was a good match. I thought Private Party looked good. I don't know how I feel about them wrestling in what looks like server gear, khakis and button-down T-shirts and stuff like that. I can't imagine that's comfortable, but whatever. But I thought they looked good. I mean, early on in AEW, when they first started, they presented them as like they were going to be one of the top tag teams in the division for like you need to pay attention to them. And then they've been doing whatever. But yeah, I thought this was a really good match. I thought Christian looked awesome like he has. He took a lot of offense, took a beating, made Private Party look good, hit that hot tag to Jungle Boy, who they are definitely prepping up for his title match in a couple weeks. And Jungle Boy's just awesome. What'd you think about this match in general?
Yeah, I thought the match started a little slow, but it definitely built to a really good crescendo. It was by the end of it, I was like, damn, that was a fun tag match.
Yeah.
Much like you said, when AEW first started, I truly enjoyed Private Party with the way they were presented. They went over the Bucks in the tag team tournament.
Well, I was there. That was in Boston. I was there for that. And
there you go.
That crowd, including me, lost our shit when they won that match.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. And, I thought they had this big ass upside, and within a couple of years, they would be tag champs, if not multiple times. Since joining Matt Hardy, I don't know. It's two steps back for me. Wrestling in the gear they're wrestling in, it's not even wrestling gear. It's polo club attire. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
If I originally thought the route they were going to go was a Hardy Boys, Michael Hayes type dynamic with Matt Hardy and Private Party. I don't know where it's going right now.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It's odd. And Private Party, and I'm all for Cage and Jungle Boy being in this position, and I understand why it was against Private Party, but they made a big deal out of saying Private Party's ranked number 3, haven't lost this year, and they lost to a team that hasn't tagged together ever.
Yeah.
So it's all a bit convoluted. But any excuse to get Jungle Boy on the screen is gold, because he's as over as anyone in pro wrestling right now.
Yep.
And Christian hasn't missed a beat since he returned at the Rumble and then debuted on AEW. It's amazing. Jungle Boy dropped Mark Quinn on his head at the end of this.
Oh yes, yes he did.
But Mark Quinn seemed okay, thankfully. But yeah, Christian feuding with Matt Hardy, not ideally where I thought they would go with Christian so early.
Yeah, they did tease that. Yeah.
But you know what? If it's short and sharp, then okay.
Yeah. After the match, Matt Hardy did hit the twist of fate on the entranceway to Christian, and then Jungle Boy came and kind of ran Matt Hardy off. Okay. So Jungle Boy has this match in 3 weeks against Omega for the title, which should just be awesome. I think most, you and I definitely, but I feel like most people understand that Omega is going to win that match.
Yes.
Do you see a potential, because they did the thing at the Battle Royal, they did tonight where they were a team and like afterwards they were hugging and kind of doing whatever. Jungle Boy came to Christian's aid after the twist of fate. Do you think down the line maybe this could be a good opportunity for Christian Cage to turn heel? Or do you think they just kind of keep him as is? I think this is a good opportunity once the title match is over. And if they do remain friendly on screen throughout or whatever, it would be a good opportunity for Christian to turn heel on Jungle Boy and kind of give. That's kind of what I like. As they were hugging and embracing at the end of that match, I was like verbally saying to my team, I'm like, hit him, Christian. Not because I want Jungle Boy to get beaten down. I love Jungle Boy. But I was like, hit him. You know what I mean? I was like, like
I just thought it could have been a cool shift of character from Christian.
Yeah.
Just wanted your thoughts if you thought about that, or you think maybe
I hadn't, but is it too early?
It's too early for it. That's why I'm thinking maybe after the, you know what I mean?
But is it too early period? Like even in 3 weeks, it'll still be fairly early.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Like I'm not opposed to Christian being a heel because as a heel, he's good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like for Jungle Boy, like he gets this title match, even in a loss, I'm assuming they're going to make him look like $1 million.
Christian could cost him the match.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe afterwards, they're still involved with Matt Hardy and crew after and then throughout it because, at the end of the day, like, yeah, Christian is this babyface veteran, but like Jungle Boy beat him for his shot at the title, and Christian made it clear on night 1 he was coming for that title.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just popped into my head. I do think it's way too early, but I did think like, maybe down the line that would be like he turns heel and then he has a really good feud, like putting Jungle Boy. Like Jungle Boy's already over, you know what I mean? But like having Jungle Boy have an established long-term singles feud with a guy like Christian and coming out on top of that, especially after losing to Omega, which we probably think he's going to, not necessarily a bad thing, Just something that popped in my brain.
Yeah, I do think it's a bit early. Will it happen eventually? I think so, but not just yet. We've seen Jungle Boy in high-profile spots before when Jericho was champ.
Yep.
And again now, he relishes it. He had a great match, I think, at last year's Double or Nothing with MJF. Whether it was Double or Nothing or All Out, that match was really good.
Awesome. Very good match.
Yeah. So he's not immune to high-profile situations. He's not immune to having good matches. And he's 23.
Yeah,
the guy is 23.
It's scary how young he is. It's scary.
And MJF's like 25.
Yeah, 25. I did look up. I know a different company, but like when we talk about young people, like Jake Atlas, only 25. So like you have all these young that are MJF and Jungle Boy specifically are already so over and are already so good.
Yeah.
That
like they're main eventers at 23 and 25.
Yes.
They're not just active members of your roster that win matches. They are main eventers at that 100%. Age.
Yep.
I was all in on MJF should have beat Moxley at All Out last year.
Oh, for the time, I agree. Yeah, I thought he should have
undefeated. I thought it was the
champion.
time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I thought they could have done a cool story with, because Cody has that in his contract, right, that he can't challenge for the title anymore. But they could have done a really cool story with MJF as the undefeated heel champion and Cody and him knowing that Cody can never get it, and just played into that feud. Like, oh yeah, we can fight again, but like not for the title. You can't do it. And then there was just a lot. They could have done a lot of cool stuff. So I was pulling for MJF to win. I understand why they obviously kept it on Moxley as he's amazing, but that would have been cool to keep MJF that undefeated heel champion at 24. Like, oh my God, it would be amazing.
Yeah, it just gave me Randy Orton type vibes at that time.
Yeah, and Wrestling Jeebus says only 23 makes me feel so. Yeah, yes, I agree. I feel the same.
Ditto, very much ditto.
We then get a promo from Team Taz. Taz is doing his thing, saying that Hangman got lucky and all this, and he said, "We want you to pick a tag team partner, any member of the Dark Order, and you're going to go up against Brian Cage and Powerhouse Hobbs, and let's see how lucky you are." And as Taz is talking, Ricky Starks just kind of leaves disgustedly, and one thing I noticed is Hook was staring Cage down the whole time. Never and then
good luck with that one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Hook will get ruined. And then you could see towards the end of the promo, Cage kind of got a glimpse of Hook doing that, and they were just having a stare down the whole. And so, they've been teasing Brian Cage leaving for a bit now. It's going to happen at some point. Maybe it'll be the tag match. Who knows? But that, at least Cage being a part of that crew, I hope they don't break up the whole crew, but Cage being a part of it looks like it's going to be ending soon. Yeah. So, but I thought it was good. Typical. The dynamic between Ricky Starks and Cage has been awesome. I know Ricky isn't going to be able to wrestle for a little bit now, but the dynamic of the breakup happening like between them two kind of
not seeing eye to eye has been a good wrinkle and everything. So I thought it did its purpose, kind of still showed that they're not all on the same page, but is continuing the Hangman and Dark Order thing with them too.
I want to know, why is Cage and Hangman continuing again still?
I don't know. Well, because they 50-50'd it. And they seem to be. I hope they get away from that, because it seems like more recently they've been going the 50-50 route here, and that is not a good thing. That's one of the things that made us want something like AEW to show up in the first place.
Yep.
And now it just feels like they're starting to show some not. I don't think it's a great concern yet, but they're starting to show some bad trends of 50-50 booking and kind of making people that shouldn't be losing, and some things that are like, okay, you got to find out ways to get around that, because if you start 50-50 booking, 50-50 booking, we're going to feel the same way about how we feel watching other programs, which is why we were so excited for you. You know what I mean? That's
it's concerning, that's for sure.
Yeah, and our buddy Joe, Mighty Joe, says, "Howdy, gents." Hello, my friend. Good morning to you. So that's how I kind of feel about that. Then the next thing we had Tony Schiavone in the ring calling out Darby Allin and Sting. Sting says that. Right. What? Oh, yeah. Sting! Sorry.
Thank you.
It's early still. I haven't had my morning coffee, man. But anyway.
Sorry.
I know I should. I have this wonderful Sunday brunch coffee mug that you can get at our Love Wrestling CA shop. So you should buy these for your morning coffee.
Cheap plug.
Yes. But anyway, Sting comes out. He says, throughout my career, he's had many incredible moments, and he has what happened at Double or Nothing right up there near the top. He said it was awesome. The crowd was awesome. He felt great getting back in the ring after 6 years. And like we talked about at the top, he looked great in the match. He said he'll never forget Sunday night, and it's just one of the top moments of his career. And as he's saying that, we get Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky up on the Titantron, or the big screen, we'll call it, for them. Scorpio Sky congratulates Sting. He says, "Hey, you looked great. You even smelled great. What were you wearing?" And they start kind of being smart asses like that. And then Ethan Page goes, "Yeah, you did look great." He goes, "You were so great that you even were able to get Darby Allin across the finish line after I beat the crap out of him," and stuff like that. And then Scorpio Sky challenges Darby Allin to a tag match, but he says, "I want you to find anybody but Sting and see if you'll have the same luck." I thought that was a little odd, but like, okay. Yeah, and then that's kind of how that segment ended, with Darby kind of looking puzzled in the ring. What'd you think of it? Yeah, really. What'd you think of this segment? What'd you think? They're obviously continuing with the Darby, Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky stuff. Fine. What'd you think?
That Sting and Darby t-shirt is actually really bloody cool.
Yeah, I agree. So that looks cool.
Darby, seriously, I said it before, he must kick himself every single day. Not kick himself, pinch himself. That he gets to walk to the ring with Sting every week. He's now got an official t-shirt with half him, half Sting.
Yep.
If you told Darby that as a kid, you either wouldn't care or he'd think you're an idiot.
Yep.
But again, I'm going to ask you the same question I've asked you twice already. Why is this program continuing?
And I'm going to give you the same answer. I don't know.
Sting pin Scorpio Sky. Yeah, if Ethan Page has got an issue with Darby, have a one-on-one match. Why are we bringing, why is it those two versus, Darby and whoever he can find?
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's weird. It's very WWE, and I don't know what to think.
Yeah. It seems like, I don't know. And again, AEW for the most part does a pretty good job of booking things. So I will let it play out before I have my final judgment, but it does seem like they are stretching out some things that do not need to be stretched out.
It just concerns me because Double or Nothing is one of their bigger pay-per-views.
I think it's considered it's a top two. That one and All Out are the big two in my eyes.
Yeah, I look at it as if All Out is their WrestleMania per se,
and this is like their SummerSlam or whatever.
Correct. But 9 out of 10, your feuds end at those big shows.
Mm-hmm.
It seems as though a lot of the feuds that took place at the show are continuing.
Yeah.
And when the next pay-per-view will probably be All Out, and that's not
All Out,
when's that?
End of August, early September. Yeah. So we got another couple
3
months.
months.
Yeah, 2.5, 3 months. Yeah.
It's a long if your feud's going to continue and blow off at your biggest pay-per-view, that's a long, long way to drag something.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but look, I don't know what the end game is, and look, I'll let it play out and I'll watch every week.
Oh, of course,
that's fine. But I just don't feel this needed to continue. They've got a massive roster now. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page are so good.
Yeah,
they don't need to be involved with this anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. I would have liked Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page to kind of move on and establish themselves as a tag team in the division. If Sting's only going to wrestle every so often, cool. Like he can still be around with Darby and stuff like that. But like Darby is an over solo act, big time over, like top of the company type over. So they had their match. They lost to Sting and Darby. Why doesn't Darby go do his thing and Sting can be involved in it? And then they go become like a player in the tag team division or whatever you want to do. I just don't. Yeah, it doesn't seem like the stretching out here is needed. It seems like we got our culmination, and that was being able to see Sting have a badass match in the ring. Like that's what this story was for, to see Sting win, So it's very again, I guess we'll see, but
and it's not like they're short of tag teams for Sky and Ethan Page.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, no, they got a ton. Even if you want to, like what would you be upset about watching Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page going against the Varsity Blondes? I would not.
No,
that'd be a great match. Those are the things I kind of want them to see. Like start, But anyway, we then get the Britt Baker Championship celebration.
Yep.
They have like kind of like a mishmash of heels in the ring. Luther was in there. Nyla Rose was in there with Vicky. I'm going to forget the other people that were in there.
TH2, Diamante.
Yeah. It seemed to be the mid-card.
The wingmen were in there.
Yeah. So Britt comes out. Obviously, Tony Schiavone welcomes her as they are besties. Britt comes out looking great with the belt around her waist there. She's with Rebel. They get in the ring. There's a plate full of burgers in the ring. Britt kind of plays a trick on the crowd by saying that everybody has a coupon for a free burger under their seat, and then says, no, you don't. They're all here with me because I'm the one that did all the work and you guys did nothing.
Such a troll.
Yep. And then she starts talking about how nobody believed in her and things like that and how she achieved her goal and stuff like that. And then as she's continuing the celebration, she's trying to get Shivani to eat a burger. Nyla Rose, when Rebel grabs a burger, Nyla Rose just knocks the burger out of her hand, knocks the plate of burgers over, kind of has a stare down, kind of pointing at Britt Baker, not impressed. And then she just kind of leaves. And that's really it. So it seems like to me, I thought the celebration was a tad underwhelming. I expected a bigger thing for Britt. I thought Britt was fine. And, I just thought the whole thing in general was a little bit underwhelming. I just expected a bigger thing. But it seems like they're going in the Nyla Rose, Britt Baker route. Not opposed. Nyla Rose was a champion for a long time, for a while. So she is someone that Britt should have to go through, former champ. What'd you think of this celebration, this segment, the Nyla Rose, Britt Baker future looks like we're getting? What were your opinions of how this went down?
Spencer Love, when you watch this, I apologize, but JPJ, what the fuck was this?
That's kind of how I felt. I was just like, all right. I just expected something completely different.
This was complete bullshit.
Yeah,
We've
I'll let you
waited
go, man.
the
If you got to
best.
rant, you rant.
This was the best. We've waited how many months?
Yeah.
A year, maybe more, for Baker to finally win the title. She finally wins the title. First time we see her with the belt, and this is what they give us. This.
Yeah.
Her with McDonald's burgers, Nyla Rose throwing burgers, a whole bunch of people in the ring that didn't need to be there. Why?
Yeah. It was bizarre. I
No,
don't
it
know.
wasn't bizarre. It was horseshit. It was rubbish.
Yeah. I don't know why they needed Nyla Rose could have just come out to ruin the celebration.
Yes.
If that's what you want, I have no problem with the end game of going towards Britt and Nyla Rose. Cool.
Nyla beat Britt Baker in the women's tournament. I've got no problem with that match.
I have no problem with that being the next. No problem.
Correct.
I don't understand why there needed to be a group of heel wrestlers in the ring. It's a Britt Baker celebration. Britt Baker should be the only person in that damn ring.
I've never seen Britt.
It's about her.
I've never seen Britt, Reba, or any of those two combined converse or even be on the same screen as anybody else that was in that ring, other than Nyla in a match.
Yeah, very, very. Like you said, I'll use your term, horseshit.
It was. It was the most underwhelming thing in all of wrestling for the week. Raw, SmackDown, anything you watch. It was the most underwhelming piece of shit I've seen in a long time, and it was so unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to add on to that because I think that is 100% accurate statement. Mm-hmm. As you can tell, we both were like, oh, no, we didn't like it. But
I'm happy for Britt to be champion, but as a celebration, this sucked so much ass.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not what I thought it was going to be, for sure. All right, we then get a match with The Bunny going against Red Velvet. I thought this was a really good little quick match. It wasn't a quick match. They did give them a commercial break, so I was glad that they gave not one of the main women storylines or performers time. Yeah. I was glad that they gave them that time. But it was a quicker, under 10-minute match. I thought Red Velvet got the victory, which good. Red Velvet is really good, good. And the more on your main show on Dynamite that you can get her victories is only going to kind of raise her. Because I feel like, yes, she's on Dark and Elevation, but I personally don't watch those regularly. So the majority of times that I've seen Red Velvet on my TV screen for Dynamite, they have been losses. So it's good that she got a competitive match, and Bunny looked good at times in this match too. It was really good. And I'm glad Red Velvet got the win. At the end, Bunny did try to use the brass knuckles, but she missed, and then that led to the thrust kick there from Red Velvet, which got the win. So I did like how they kept the brass knuckle things going on because Bunny did get a big win with the brass knuckles the week prior. So, I thought for what it was, I thought it served its purpose. I thought, your opinions on this match and Red Velvet maybe in general?
Yeah, same as you, man. I thought this was a fine enough match. I enjoy watching Allie or the Bunny in the ring. I think she's very underrated. Velvet needed a Dynamite win. I believe that's her first.
Yeah. Oh, is it her first? I knew there were more losses than wins, but yeah.
I think so. Like we've seen her against Jade a couple of times and she's been defeated. So but she's the future. She's so damn talented, so damn good. She's only going to get better. Bit similar to Bronson Reed and MSK. If they're going to go with the pairing of Red Swole and Kylan King, then gimme.
Yeah, they were at ringside with her and got in the ring and celebrated and stuff like that.
Yeah, and
so
on socials, they were calling themselves RSK. So if that's a route they want to go, then give me some women's trios or groups or pairings or whatever. I'm down for that.
Yeah, I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
We then get a couple backstage segments. We have the Dark Order backstage. John Silver says, I believe it was John Silver's birthday. So, and he says that he was granted a TNT title match, but because his shoulder is still a little banged up, he gave that opportunity to Evil Uno. And next week we'll get Miro versus Evil Uno for the TNT title. We then get Miro. I love this so much. We got Miro backstage, and he starts off the promo by saying, "First, I want to thank God for my power," which I was just already like amazing.
So arrogant.
Just amazing. I want to thank God for my power. Great. And then he says, I also want to say hi to my wife, who is super hot or is so hot.
I want to thank my wife.
I want to thank my wife for being hot. And obviously.
Well, he's not wrong.
No, he's not. He's not. But giving Lana the shout out on a week that she unfortunately got released, like I thought that was a nice touch by Miro. He's then goes into typical Miro, says he's going to destroy Evil Uno next week. And he kind of gives a call out to the whole roster. And he says, hey, if you guys want to fight Miro, you better believe that you can beat Miro. Because if you have any doubt that you can beat Miro, I'm going to destroy everyone. Like, I'm going to destroy you. Yeah, I would say for the last month and a half, since he basically did the breakup from Kip, he's been the Miro that I think we all expected him to be upon arrival. He's been awesome. His promos are amazing. Yeah, what'd you think of this? What do you think about the match next week? I mean, I'm sure it's just going to be Miro beating the shit out of Evil Uno, with Uno getting some offense, but yeah.
I can't say I've ever seen or remember Uno being in a singles match on any program.
That's true.
And he's going to get a TNT title match, so yeah, okay, sure. But this Miro rules.
Yeah, man.
He rules all of the ass. It's just so good. He's just a killer with no emotion. It's such a good shtick for him. He's just straight-faced. He believes that he's going to destroy everyone. And you know what? When you see a guy that believes he can destroy everyone, choke out someone like Lance Archer in 7 minutes, why should I not believe him? So
I mean, like, he's so good, man. He's so good. Like, I'm glad he has the TNT title, but like that guy, to me, he needs that world title soon. He needs that.
He'll win it eventually. Yeah.
Man,
and people are going to go, "Oh, he finally won it." I'm like, "Well, he was always destined to be a world champion."
Yes, 100%. Again, and I don't want to keep on doing the trope of like, how did one company let somebody like this go? But you have to when it's somebody of this caliber. And it's just...
If anyone has ever doubted his ability, even in WWE, please go back and watch his feud with Cena. His feud with Cena is great. Amazing. So damn good.
Yes.
And that's what he was capable of, even back then. He's only gotten better.
Oh, yeah.
And he's such an intimidating looking guy. He doesn't have the pop and pecs and the six pack and all that sort of stuff. He's just thick everywhere, and he's just brute force, and oh my god.
Yeah. And he's charismatic too, like as a heel or a face. Like, he can talk. He doesn't give like and AEW is doing it perfectly because they know that his character should, like you said, an emotionless. He doesn't give a shit. He's just there to ruin people. And I think, man, I don't know. They're just ever since the breakup, it's just been all cylinders. Every promo, every match. He's obviously won the TNT title. Like, he is at the top of his game, and it's wonderful to see.
They're portraying him as an emotionless killer, but then once he sort of like destroys his victim, he sort of sits there with his like evil grin, and you're
like that smile, like, hey,
it's just like,
it's perfect. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
So good.
All right. We then get to our main event of the evening. Yes. I want to talk about this for a little bit.
Yes.
We had a bull rope match.
We did.
It was Nick Comoroto against Dustin Rhodes. And who would have thought at like 52 years of age, Dustin Rhodes main eventing a Dynamite? Good for him.
against an NXT reject.
Yeah.
Sorry, had to say.
Yeah, it's okay. I love Comoroto's look, the tassels, and we talked about his look a lot, but the tassels to me are just like next level. I'm like, look at this guy. Look at this guy.
Old school 80s heel.
Yeah, oh my God, I love it. I had a buddy over because it was a Friday here in the, we had a buddy over. We were watching it, and when he had never seen Comoroto before, and when his music hit, I was like, oh, you gotta look at this guy. And he was like, what do you mean? And this guy is my buddy Nate. He's watched wrestling, but he's not super like religiously watching it. I was like, you got to watch this guy. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, every like late 80s, you just got to watch him. And he came out and he saw him immediately. He was like, oh yeah. Like that was it. That was his response. He went, oh yeah. And I was like, right. And then when he took off the big coat and he saw the tassels, he was like, he's got tassels. Oh, it was amazing. And I was just like,
sold.
Yeah. I was like, yep, all in on Nick Comoroto. Yeah. I thought this match was good. I want to talk about the match because the Bull Rope match is good. It was violent. Comoroto got busted open, stuff like that. It was cool to see Dustin Rhodes main eventing a Dynamite. Mm-hmm. It's that guy's been wrestling from 80s, 90s. Like he's been wrestling a long time too, right? Forever. So to see him get a main event match on the show, that's cool. Yeah. Why the hell did he need to win?
Thank you.
I don't want to skip the whole match, but we can because the main discussion point for me is why does Dustin Rhodes need to beat the guy who's brand freaking new? Why does that have to happen? I'm sorry, I'm raising my voice.
I got nothing.
I'm a little peeved about it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Oh.
This is how angry I was with the Go Cody stuff, but that makes more sense. Cody's still in the prime of his career. That makes more sense. It doesn't make sense, but it makes more sense than a 52-year-old.
Do you know what frustrated me more about this? They kept on harping about Dustin's freaking record in Bull Rope matches being 13-1.
Yeah, who gives a shit?
Well, it gives a shit if Comoroto wins.
Yes. I don't mean it that way in general, but like, okay, great.
Put the guy over.
Yeah, this guy's a freaking monster. Doing? He's a monster. Look at him. Look at him. Oh, made no sense.
First true exposure, loses. Go. First true exposure, loses.
It's unbelievable. Like Comoroto was also in a main event. That's a main event match for him too on Dynamite. That's a big deal for him.
Yes.
And he doesn't need to lose to the 53-year-old. He doesn't. No.
Dustin gains nothing from winning it.
No. And he would have gained nothing from losing. He's Dustin friggin' Rhodes. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Why? Yep. I just don't understand. You even had Solo out there creating distractions. You had an easy out, even if you were like, you know what, I don't want him to win clean. Okay. There's so many things you could do. And Comoroto and Agogo and all these guys, they need wins. They are brand new to our eyes. Brand new.
Yep.
What the hell, man? That made no friggin' sense to me whatsoever. Oh my God, frustrated the hell out of me. Frustrated the hell out of me.
You know what else frustrated the hell out of me?
Go.
Why the hell did Fuego del Sol get involved in this? What the fuck?
I'd have to go back and watch, but did Comoroto...
He gave him a little shove, like get out of the way.
Right? So he's technically started it.
But why does Fuego need to jump on his back? The guy's not even signed to the company.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Oh, get me out of here, please. Come on.
And the match itself was pretty good. Like, it wasn't a bad match.
No, it was clunky and stuff, but you expect that from a match with a freaking bull rope and
it's a bull rope match with, like you expect
it's a brawl. It's a brawl. You don't want perfection, and that's fine.
Oh my God, so frustrating.
And you know what? Dustin not only wins, he hog ties the man.
Yeah.
Like
what? Yeah. Like I don't know. That it just left a sour taste in my mouth.
Yes.
I left a sour taste in my mouth, and I was like, you know what? I thought both shows in general were not as good as we usually expect from them. But like when I think back a Double or Nothing with the Cody Agogo stuff, and I think about this, and we've talked about it, like I understand that, like, certain guys can't lose every time. Like I get it. I don't want Dustin Rhodes to lose every time we see him on screen either.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, Tony Khan is smart. because he's a smart guy. Like, he knows what he's doing. How can you objectively look at this when you're building the end of this show and go, yeah, this is having this young, new guy that's creating a little bit of buzz because of his look and the team that he's in and stuff like that. Objectively, how do you look at that and go, yeah, definitely it's a better booking decision and business decision to have Dustin Rhodes beat him?
Yeah. I understand. Like, there are times, and people have said this in WWE, not many people will question the booking decisions or creative direction or any of that sort of stuff. And so I understand that someone like Nick Comoroto doesn't want to question the path they're going. But surely QT should step in and go,
somebody has to, right?
Hang on, is this really the right decision to make? I believe my man should win. Is that a route we could potentially go? If Comoroto wins this and Ogogo and QT win earlier in the night, Cody beating Ogogo at Double or Nothing is not as bad a decision as it was made to be originally.
Yeah.
But now Comoroto's lost to Dustin and Cody's beaten Ogogo. Cody's win is amplified.
Mm-hmm.
And the factory, in my opinion, are basically dead in the water.
It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot for them to kind of get out from where they are.
And look, don't get me wrong. AEW have proven that time and time again that they can do it, but don't put yourself in the position where you have to do it.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what they do. And it's, and again, we always are, and like you said earlier in the show, like, we're critical of WWE and, a lot, but when you have to be critical about AEW, even though, we definitely are pro-positive AEW and we love it, you have to be critical. And AEW ain't perfect either. And they do these things where they put themselves in a little bit of a grave that they got to dig out of from time to time. And it's just like, there are easier ways to not do that. Having Comoroto win that match, whether it's by a distraction from Solo or he just does the win because he's a monster.
Yeah.
That is that he wins that match and everyone just goes like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, cool. All right, yeah. Mm-hmm. But like when Dustin wins, it's like, okay, well now that you have this young, like, what about him now? Like, what does this mean for him? It's just bizarre. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was Dynamite. That was Dynamite.
I didn't get it.
I didn't get it either. And again, we'll have to see. Like, AEW has earned in their short 2-year tenure or whatever, they've earned the benefit of the doubt to me.
Yeah.
Like, they've earned the right to finish because, like you said, they do pull themselves out of it more times than not. So they've earned that right. I'm not going to fully say I hate it or whatever, or I don't like it or whatever. Like, I want to see where it ends up because they've earned that right with me as a viewer.
But on the surface, it just looks whack.
Not good. On the surface, the Ogogo Cody stuff, this on not good. That's just it just seems wrong to me.
Yeah.
But again, we'll have to see where it goes. But that was the weekly shows, NXT and Dynamite. Before we get out of here, I do want to plug one more time the donate.tiltify.com/@lovewrestlingca/Trevor Project. We are trying to raise awareness and raise our goal. We're not even just trying to get to our goal. We're trying to exceed and crush our goal of $1,000 this month for the Trevor Project. Yeah. If you already have donated, thank you. If you haven't, please do, or share this with people that might, or just everyone share it to everybody. It's a really good organization that does great things for the LGBTQ community, and it is an organization that is very important to a lot of people that are close to us in our Love Wrestling family here. So please share the link, donate if you can. We appreciate. We've raised over $400 already, and we're only 6 days into June. So it's looking good. It's looking like we are going to crush our goal. But if you can help at all, please do. All of us here and the Trevor Project and a lot of people everywhere would really be appreciative. As far as Love Wrestling goes, we are loaded today with shows. Mm-hmm. So we just had our monster, 2.5 hour little pod here. We have the Sunday brunch coming up at 11 a.m. Mountain Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then we have a special edition of Power out this afternoon after the NWA pay-per-view this afternoon. I believe it's called When Our Shadows Fall, I want to say.
I believe
Something like that. Yes.
Nick Aldis defending against Trevor Murdoch.
Yes, and that's been I do not watch NWA, but I do watch the social media clips and the YouTube things I see, and that's been Trevor Murdoch has been on a little good run here. So
and Aldis has been champion
forever. Yes.
Since he beat Cody back a couple of years ago.
Yeah, right. No, Cody beat him at All Out, and then he beat.
And then they
had
the
rematch. They had the
after,
rematch. That's right.
Which is only like 3 weeks later or something.
Yeah. So around that same time, which is what 2018, like this is a while ago.
Yep.
Yeah. So that hopefully.
Oh, JPJ has frozen. He's frozen. Maybe he should let it go. Let it go. Oh, he's frozen. Look at him. Oh, he's gone. Well, I wasn't expecting that to happen at 5 to 1 a.m. Thank you, Mr. Joseph Pullen Jr. And he's officially gone. Like, it's just me now. So I'm just going to say happy Pride Month to all and sundry. Don't forget to donate to the Trevor Project to the link that JPJ put up earlier. We've been here for 2.5 hours. It is my bedtime now. So I've got to go to work tomorrow, and then I've got to Dominions tomorrow night. Okada and Shingo. We get a new champion because Ospreay's injured. Love wrestling. We're doing all sorts of stuff throughout the week. You know, we got reacts to most shows. You know, we got blowing our stream on the weekends. Sunday brunch is in another couple of hours. It's all just fun and games. So I'm just going to bid you all adieu. I am the franchise Matt Sell, as always. Peace, love, and positivity from all of us that love wrestling. And I will see y'all next week for the War Report. Peace.